mic drop.
That man is a product of a poor environment. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. I could prove it.
Of course there's something wrong with him. He's a Negro.
The mic drop.
Hi, hello. This is going to be shocking for many of you to hear, but did you know that Black people are not the only race to have historically experienced slavery? I know this is shocking, but pretty much every civilization in the history of mankind, at some point, their ancestry owned slaves. Because slavery was a worldwide human rights issue for a very, very long time, for many centuries. So it doesn't matter if you're white, Black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Very likely at some point your ancestry down the line owned slaves. Doesn't make it right, but that was just the way of the world for a very, very long time. So all these comments like, you're not Black, you can't speak about slavery. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. Slavery was a human rights issue across the world, across all races and all civilizations for a long time. And the United States was one of the first countries to abolish it very quickly and efficiently. So all the comments about being a non-Black person, you can't speak about slavery, every single civilization has experienced slavery at some point.
Shut up, bitch! Somebody drop this fool for me.
The mic drop. My bad, man. No sound. I'm sitting up here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Mike Drop. I'm your host, Big Mike. I already shouted out to Rondo Smallfoot, Mr. Goodbread in the building, and we got XL Pro in the building. So one more game. Look, man, a brother tired, man. A brother tired. I know y'all like this man and pushed this podcast off, 3 different times. I'm hell bent on coming on tonight. Yeah, brother tired, man. Just got a lot of moves to make during the week. And it could get exhausting at times, especially in 95-degree weather. So shout out to the 95-degree weather, man, in Atlanta. The heat wave, summer 2022, aka Black Man Summer. We got Raj Will in the building. What's happening with your fam? Look, man, I hope I don't, get on y'all's nerves with the applause, man. It's those who are listening, but I take my people that come into my chats very seriously. This is my family. This is like a second family to me. So I'm always going to give flowers to those who are down with the cause and those who support the cause, man. So, that's just part of it, man. We got to get the accolades and we got to, acknowledge people when they're in the building, man. So, like I said, we got righteous field representation up in here. Mr. Goodbread. I did watch what you did about Dr. Martin Luther King too, Goodbread. I see things a little different. And tonight I'm gonna lay my case out. It's kind of a sad thing. I call this show the second assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because this has been an ongoing argument in the Black community. And it's always seemed to be, 2 schools of thought, or what appeared to be 2 schools of thought. And that would be the thoughts of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And that would be the thoughts of, Minister Malcolm X. So these guys are often put into some kind of competition, but really, from a historical standpoint, the only thing that really separated them was geography. And we're going to talk about that tonight. I don't know if anybody knows, these guys never debated publicly. They, Dr. King didn't want to debate Malcolm X publicly. And they only met one time, and it was brief. And it's some strange surroundings, some strange happenings with that one meeting as well. So we're going to talk about that as well tonight. Salute to you, man. We got Libby in the building. So yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight, man. We're going to get into a couple of things. I started with the film, and it was a Mike Wallace interview, and I automatically assumed that everybody has seen this video, and I'm mistaken. It's something that I've seen, but everybody hasn't taken time to listen to the man himself and put it into a historical framework to understand where Dr. Martin Luther King was standing when he said these things versus where we're standing when we say the things that we say. So that's where we at with it. So I'm gonna do it justice. I was talking about Luke a couple of weeks ago, and I had Dr. Martin Luther King, a clip of Dr. Martin Luther King speaking with Mike Wallace, a very candid interview, and it was only 11 months before he died. So this was 1967, maybe early 68. I think it was 67 when this interview happened, and he died in 68. So, we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to go through that tonight. Man, we got my man, the world class, in the building. Salute to you, fam. Salute, salute, salute. We got the family in the building. We about to get this thing popping. Let go, let go, let go. Let's see here. So I want to do this interview with Dr. Martin Luther King justice, and we're going to break the whole interview down. It's about 26 minutes. I'm not going to play all 26 minutes because I think it's important that we stop and let's discuss this. We could chat about it in the chat. We can, discuss it on the phone. We're going to have the phone lines open, or you can actually join the live if you would like. And I'll put the link out here in one moment. Let us get into it. But I'll put the link out there. But tonight's question is this. Should we reevaluate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s image and legacy? Is it something that I feel like we need to protect? Yes. Is it something that I feel like has been badly damaged over the last, few years? Yes. And I think there's some straightening that needs to be had or gotten when it comes to our beloved, the most famous, FBA or foundational freedman in the United States history. I'll just say Negro, because that's what he said, right? The most inspirational Negro. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. footage. I'm talking about really him in his own words. Maybe not thousands. I know hundreds. I mean, you got to think he was in the game for 12 years. And he's going to discuss that. And we're going to put some kind of historical framework around this so we can better understand and better honor our heroes. Because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., did he have it all right? No. But did he have it all wrong? Absolutely not. Does he deserve to be honored and not basically juxtaposed and against Malcolm X? And I think it comes from a place of Malcolm X being the strong man and Dr. Martin Luther King being the weak man. And I don't like that. I think it's inaccurate. And I think we're doing ourselves, as well as him and his legacy, a great disservice. So let's get into Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking with Mike Wallace. That's Chris Wallace's dad, by the way. Mike Wallace was on 60 Minutes when I knew of him. But, he's an accomplished journalist, and he's known for having candid interviews. But if you'd like to call in on the question, we're going to get this film started. But if you want to call in on the question, should we reevaluate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s image and legacy? Feel free to do so. 515-605-9708. 515-605-9708. Doesn't matter. It's on the bottom of the screen. I always have somebody say, what's the number? So I'm saying it. Here we go. So let's get it started.
But so far,
and let's go. And this was here 1967, May 8th, 1967 is when this video took place. So let's get it. Let me do my little extra stuff. Chrome tab. There we go. All right, everybody see? And let me know if you can hear it, because I'm going to mute it on this side, but I'm going to mute it first. So you can let me know if you hear it. Put a 1 in the chat if you hear this. We're going to get started.
Dr. King, this church is as good a place as any to go back over your commitment to the civil rights movement. When you went out from here into university and then you went to Montgomery, Alabama and started the bus boycotts there, what was the philosophy of the civil rights movement as you saw it then, more than 10 years ago?
Well, I would say then the philosophy was that we must go all out to use legal and nonviolent methods to gain full citizenship rights for the Negro people of our country. Of course, that particular struggle and that philosophy centered on breaking down all of the barriers of legal segregation. So I would say that in that period, the basic thrust for the gaining of citizenship rights for Negroes was to end the humiliation surrounding the whole system of legal segregation.
Dr. King, was there something peculiar to the place where you started and the kind of people you attracted? I mean by that, there was a strong attachment on the part of your parishioners in Montgomery to the church. They were older people, weren't they?
Yes, I would say by and large they were older people who participated in the boycott because they were the ones using the bus more than anybody else. And Montgomery was a community predominantly church-centered, so that it was very easy to get to the vast majority of Negroes because they were in some way connected with a church in the community.
Was there, in addition to your commitment to the idea of nonviolence, wasn't it also the only thing you could do, the white community having the monopoly on violence, that if you had tried violence, they would have met it with violence? It was the only device open to you, wasn't it?
Well, I'll put it another way, that morally, I was led to nonviolence because I felt that it was the best moral way to deal with the problem. We were seeking to establish a just society. And it was my feeling then, and it is my feeling now, that violence is certainly much more socially destructive, and it creates many more social problems than it solves. So I was led to nonviolence for deep moral reasons. Now, there is no doubt about the fact that in our struggle in Montgomery and all over the United States for that matter, nonviolence is also practically sound. It would.
All right. So raise your hand if you really think that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the leadership of the movement did not have a violent option. Put a 1 in the chat if you really honestly believe that the root of the mission was nonviolent. Let me get some participation here. Now wait. We're going to talk about that. While we're doing this, and while you're looking at that or thinking about that, I want you to look up the name Alonzo Herndon, okay? While you're doing that, just think that name. Put that name in the back of your head, okay?
Just be impractical for the Negro to turn to violence. He has neither the instruments nor the techniques of violence. We are about 10 or 11% of the total population of the nation, and I would say we're about 1/10 of the firepower. So it would just be totally impractical and unwise and unrealistic for the Negro to think of violence. Well, I saw this in the beginning in Montgomery, but this wasn't the basic reason that I turned to nonviolence and that I believed in it as a philosophy. I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
Is there something about nonviolence that made it, and I use that in past tense, that made it more useful among Southern Negroes than the ghetto Negroes of the North?
I wouldn't say there's anything that makes it more useful to Southern Negroes. I think it is true that we've had more nonviolent movements in the South because The problem for many years was more crystallized and, in a sense, more visible in the South. We didn't have many civil rights activities on a massive scale in the North until 3 or 4 years ago. So I would say that we just haven't had a chance to experiment on a broad scale with nonviolence in the Northern ghetto. I have the feeling that nonviolence is as applicable and workable in the Northern ghetto as it is in the South. There's a larger job there. The frustrations at points are much deeper. The bitterness is deeper. And I think that's because in the South, we can see pockets of progress here and there. We've really made some strides that are very visible, and every Southern Negro knows that he can do things today that he couldn't do 4 or 5 years ago.
All right. That's an important point right there. Very important point. And if Goodbread, if you're still in here, man, sound off if you're still in here. I think that's where the disconnect comes when it comes to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It comes from Black people, Negroes from the South, Negroes from the North. It's a stark difference, and he acknowledges that it's a difference. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., like he said, they didn't really have many operations in the North. And he had beautiful vocabulary, I mean, crystallized, something more visible in the South, which was his geographical location. The North was Malcolm X's geographical location. We're talking about 1967, 4 years ago. 4 years ago would have put him in 1963. That's the Dr. King that they want everybody to believe in and they want everybody to know about, is the 1963 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That's the one that they're more happy teaching in class in Black History Month, right? But this is the man in his own words. And I think that, like I said, if you haven't seen it, then I wanted to show it to you. You say you saw it here first, right?
Where in the North, the Negro sees only retrogress. And he doesn't find it as easy to get his vision centered on his target, the target of opposition, as he does in the South. Consequently, this is made for despair and at many points cynicism, a feeling that you can't win. And it simply means that we've got to develop in the North a massive job of organization and mobilizing forces and resources to deal with the problem in the urban ghettos of the North, just as we've done it in the South.
Well, in the South, particularly in Alabama, you had visible villains: Jim Clark, Bull Connor, cattle prods, police dogs. But in the North, you don't have those visible villains. Isn't it hard to get your people aroused and directed at something that isn't visible?
Well, that's exactly right. And this is what I was saying when I...
That is the difference between down South dudes and up North dudes in this conversation that we have today. And you can hear it as plain as day on my show. Guys from up North don't really tend to focus on white supremacy and racism and things like that. They don't really see it. It's not that it's not there. It's just hidden from them. They don't see it. See, this is an ages-long conversation, right, that we have not resolved. And I think it's a lot of blame going around, and it's a lot of misguided and misdirected anger when it comes to this. I hear people that are directing anger, and look, I will be the first one to call out the faults of the civil rights generation. I personally don't even think I think the civil rights generation was the generation before that generation, and they were really just the integration generation. And I'll tell you why in a moment. We got AKs and curtains in the building. Said I think MLK being nonviolent was a strategic move to put out to the world how violent white people actually are. It was part of that, but like you said, it was practical. And remember that name, and I'll put the name in the chat, Alonzo Herndon. And me being up here in Atlanta, I've run into some native Atlantans, man, some ATLians, real ATLians, right? And you know, Grady babies. That's what they call the native Atlantans. Grady babies. And they have stories, there's legends around this place. History, deep history. But there were guns being shipped in, according to local legend, urban legend. Guns were being shipped in through caskets in Jonesboro or Fayetteville. It was either Jonesboro or Fayetteville. It was a funeral home owned by a black guy. And it was an insurance company owned by a black man, Alonzo Herndon. Look that up. But yeah, there were violence was always an option. I will say that. So for those who try to paint this man like he was weak because he chose to go nonviolent, sometimes you have to appear weak when you're strong and appear strong when you're weak, right? That's the art of war. Sun Tzu. It's real shit. When you're dealing with real battles, when you're really in the war, you have to make real decisions to survive, right? And it's not fair for somebody who's sitting out on our phones and dealing with all of our technology and our nice integrated neighborhoods, and we can go to any store and drink from any water fountain and use any bathroom we want to use, to sit back and talk shit, right? About what a general in the war did or should have done. This might not be a very pleasant conversation tonight, but we're going to have it. Man, we got Dallas D in the building. Salute to you. Absolutely right on AKs and curtains about that. It was a strategic move, and he explained why. But listen, like I said, think about history. Think about the point in time in history that we're talking 1967 when this interview was going on. And for those who know history, what was going on in 1967? Let's keep going.
I said it's harder to see a target. In the South, in the nonviolent movement, we were aided always, on the whole, by the brutality of our opponent. It isn't the same way in the North. The other thing is that you don't have legal segregation in the North as you do in the South. So it is much more difficult to get people to see exactly what you're doing, but it isn't an impossible job. It's a hard, it's a tedious job at times to get people to be aroused from their apathetic slumbers, but I still feel that Negroes in the North can be motivated just as they were motivated in the South. And I think as time goes on, with the growing economic deprivation in the Negro community, it will even be easier, because people will come to see that not only is something wrong in general, but something is wrong in particular in their own economic and housing situation.
How many of y'all got the strength to bring this up at your job today? The stuff that you really see happening out here, the things you'll sit here and talk to us about, how many of y'all actually bring this up at your job? Scared to lose your job. This was perhaps the interview that signed and sealed his death warrant. But yet he did it and stood on truth. Let's go.
Well, what is it? I mean, how do you find it? It's very subtle in the North, is it not?
It's subtle, but it's becoming much more visible. Anybody can see that the schools are more segregated in the North today than they were in 1954 when the Supreme Court rendered its decision declaring segregation unconstitutional. Anybody can look around the ghetto and see that ghetto schools are predominant.
Okay. That's the reason why when people say that Dr. Martin Luther King, all he did was fought to get us integrated. Do you hear what he said? 1954, when the decision came down from the Supreme Court, that segregation was a violation of constitutional rights. He started in 1954. Remember the bus boycotts, 1954, if I'm not mistaken. 53, 54, something like that. That's what put Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on the map, Rosa Parks. So for those who say that, oh, all he did was fought for us to be with white folks. No, Dr. Martin Luther King fought to make sure that it was safe to integrate. The Supreme Court had already made the fucking decision. These are the flaws in the assassination of character of this great man. That you hear, and you let it slide because you really don't know, right? I wasn't there, no, man, I don't know, man. It sounds right. But what do I tell you? The difference between truths and half-truths. It's not about lies. It's not about listening and trying to decipher what are lies. It's about telling the difference between truths and half-truths. This is the man in his own words.
Segregated and devoid of quality. Anyone who moves through a major ghetto of our country will see the housing conditions. People don't.
And unfortunately, our brothers in the North didn't get this ever. They didn't get it. And I can see why perhaps people in northern cities or that are from the North have a strained view of Martin Luther King Jr. But I hate to say it, man. It's just a geographical thing. It was geography. It was time. It was the sheer size of the formidable opponent of white supremacy in the South. The visible opponent of white supremacy in the South. But the brother was a visionary. The brother had a vision.
Have to be reminded that they are forced to live in slums in many instances, and they're often rat-infested, vermin-filled slums. And it isn't too hard to see the exploitation that the Negro confronts in the ghetto, where he is forced to pay more for less and constantly trying to make ends meet, but because of either no job as a result of unemployment or a job that is so economically unprofitable that the person can't make ends meet. And I think they see all of these things, and more they're coming to see them, because before the people of the North were looking to the South and they supported the struggles of the South. Now they're coming to see that their problems are very real and they've got to organize.
If you're on the phone lines, hang up and call back when this is over, okay? I can't look at them and look at this at the same time and make sure this is going right. But hang up and I'll take phone calls after this is done, okay? I'll take phone calls after this is done. We're about 9 minutes into it. So I'm going to take that down for now, and then we'll get back in the phone call.
To grapple with them.
Was there something hypocritical about the fact that the South existed and the North could point the finger? And then when the Civil Rights Acts were passed in the early 60s, you couldn't point the finger anymore?
Well, there was no doubt about the hypocrisy of large segments of the nation on the whole question of.
He talking about your beloved Democratic Party. Our beloved Democratic Party. I'm not even going to do you like that. I'm a reformed Democrat. Keep it up.
Racial equality. I think the best example is that many of the senators from the North and the West, and congressmen generally, who voted for civil rights legislation in 64 and even 65 with the Voting Rights Bill, refused last year to vote for civil rights legislation because it dealt with an issue applicable to the North, the whole housing question. And this, it seems to me, was the greatest expression of the hypocrisy of many of our citizens and many of the senators and congressmen of the North.
But isn't that part of the dilemma now. The people knew that Negroes were being denied what was guaranteed to them by the Constitution, by the fact that they were citizens of this country. Then when they were given those rights, do you feel the white community said, well, we've given them all that we have, now it's up to them?
Well, I think the dilemma is much deeper, and I think one during this period of transition has to be very honest with America. And honesty impels me to admit that America has broad racist elements still alive. Racism is still existing in American society in many areas of the society, North and South. And the other thing is that there has never been a single, solid, determined commitment of large segments of white America on the whole question of racial equality. I think we have to see that vacillation has always existed, ambivalence has always existed, and this to me is the so-called white backlash. It's merely a new name for an old phenomenon. I see the white backlash as a continuation of the same ambivalence and vacillation of white America on the whole question of racial justice that has existed since the founding of our nation. I think the other thing that we must see at this time is that many of the people who supported us in Selma, in Birmingham, were really outraged about the extremist behavior toward Negroes. But they were not at that moment, and they are not now, committed to genuine equality for Negroes. It's much easier to integrate a lunch counter than it is to guarantee an annual income, for instance, to get rid of poverty for Negroes and all poor.
All right. Y'all hear what it is, right? Y'all hear what it is? You hear what he's going into. You hear the argument that's being made. And a lot of people will mischaracterize and right, they're mischaracterized. I'm sorry, not miscategorize, mischaracterize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They'll do it.
People. It's much easier to integrate a bus.
Yeah, we got West Side Coolers in the building.
To make genuine integration a reality and quality education a reality in our schools. It's much easier to integrate even a public park than it is to get rid of slums. And I think we are in a new era, a new phase of the struggle, where we have moved from a struggle for decency, which characterized our struggle for 10 or 12 years, to a struggle for genuine equality.
Okay. You hear that, right? So what are you gathering from that? That it was different phases, and perhaps it was a phased approach. It wasn't an all-out approach to get everything done at one time. It was a phased approach. And have you ever heard anybody articulate it that had the balls to do it since then?
And this is where we're getting the resistance, because there was never any intention to go this far. People were reacting to Bull Connor and to Jim Clark rather than acting in good faith.
And I'll be honest, us niggas down here in the South, we thank you for that shit. Hearing a lot of people from the North, the West, the Midwest, Southwest talking mad shit about what this man did to help our quality of life get better. It's offensive. It's geography. It's territory. And it's real. And I'm going to prove it. Westside Cooler, I got something for you. I'm going to show it here in a minute, but I got something for you that I thought about you.
For the realization of genuine equality.
Do you think white people in this country, and I'm talking about non-segregationists, people devoid or thinking they're devoid of racism, do you have any idea of what they want the Negro to be in America?
Well, it depends on the level that we are talking here, because I think you have to make a distinction between the people who are genuinely and absolutely committed in the white community on the question of racial equality. And I must confess that I think they are a very small minority. I think the vast.
So at what point in time, for those of us who like to say that, you know, these systems don't exist and that they're basically gaslighting the fuck out of us, at what point in time was this mysterious enemy that he had, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had, the oppression that he felt and knew about, at what particular point in time was this enemy destroyed? And who was the person who did it? Who was the group that stopped it? Who was the group that negotiated a change with it? See, when I listen to people talk, these are the type of questions I ask in my head. I might go along with it, but I'm side-eyeing the whole time. Because I don't just believe what I hear and see on the internet. You know, it's readings, it's all type of things, it's speeches, it's a whole museum, and it's not all propaganda. Think about this. Let's just go for those who will go with the, oh, it was propaganda, it was all for TV, it was all for Hollywood, it was all, you know, it was basically, they try to take what politicians do today and put it to and on them for yesterday. But let's just keep it a buck. So in 59, presidents had never debated on television. The first presidential debate wasn't even a decade before this. So this is the dawn of everybody having a television in their home type of stuff, right? Even in the late 60s, everybody didn't have a television. Television didn't have it wasn't even the money attached to television that it is today that gives people the reason to want to sit up on television and lie today. So you can't put those principles and that philosophy on people from yesterday, especially people under duress and constant threat of bodily harm. This is why those two spooks that sat by the door was irritating when they were criticizing him. Yeah, absolutely. Then we got Facebook user says, I'm more of a Malcolm X person, respect to Dr. King. May they both rest peacefully. Well, I'll say this. For those who take that side of the argument, which side actually got stuff done? And as you will find out tonight, Malcolm X was a King person. Yeah. It's not a either side or. It's all geography. It's all geography. So yeah, Malcolm X makes me feel rah-rah. Malcolm X makes me feel a certain way. I definitely find the value in Malcolm X's messaging. Don't get me wrong. But all they represent is two different approaches to the same coin, right? Two different approaches to the same coin. Two different approaches to the same problem, two different geographical locations. So, yeah, if you're from the North, I expect you to be a Malcolm X person. If you're from the South, I expect you to be a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. person, because that's the method that worked here. And you actually hear the man sitting out saying that he doesn't know how to do it up north. They're trying to figure it out. Very candid interview, man. This is probably the best interview I've seen of with Mike Wallace, and I've seen all of them. You should watch the one where he interviewed Margaret Sanger.
Vast majority of white Americans will go but so far. It's a kind of installment plan for equality, and they are always looking for an excuse to go but so far.
Why are they looking for the excuse? What is it about the Negro? I mean, every other group that came as an immigrant somehow.
Mike Wallace, one of the best interviewers of all fucking time. Are we not having the same freaking discussions today? Mr. Goodbread, I just have a problem with what they taught us. I can't rock with either. I'm tuned in because you were compelling. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
Not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are black?
Let's go back.
Negro. I mean, every other group.
Quality, and they are always looking for an excuse to go but so far.
Why are they looking for the excuse? What is it about the Negro? I mean, every other group that came as an immigrant somehow, not easily, but somehow got around it. Is it just the fact that Negroes are black?
That's a part of it, and that grows out of something else. You can't thingify anything without depersonalizing that something.
Okay, so when notice the word black has not been used up until Mike Wallace said it, right? Through this whole thing. He wasn't like black, oh, this blackity, black. No. Black was used first by Mike Wallace. Soon as he used the word black, what did Dr. Martin Luther King start talking about? Thingifying something. Come on, man. We're tossing around old ideas.
If you use something as a means to an end, at that moment you make it a thing and you depersonalize it. The fact is that the Negro was a slave in this country for 244 years. That was a willful thing that was done. The Negro was brought here and changed, treated in very inhuman fashion. And this led to the thingification of the Negro. So he was not looked.
What have we been talking about on here? That we went through not slavery, we went through dehumanization, thingification. Ain't nothing new under the sun for all my Ecclesiastes readers out there. That's my favorite book in the Bible, by the way. Shout out to Ecclesiastes.
Upon as a person, he was not looked upon as a human being with the same status and worth as other human beings. And the other thing is that human beings cannot continue to do wrong without eventually rationalizing that wrong. So slavery was justified morally, biologically, theoretically, scientifically, everything else. And it seems to me that white America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave.
Okay, he just alluded to what we call white supremacy or the system. We could just call it the system, right? Everybody knows there's a system. You know what I'm saying? Man, we got my sister, man, in this motherfucker, man. Hold on, man. We got Diane Brock in the building. It has been a minute since you've been able to tune in, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. You know, it's been a minute since I've been able to tune into it myself. You know, I hate to say that, but I've had a lot going on, but it's good to have you in here, Diane. But listen, man, nothing's new under the sun. I think that's gonna be the moral of this story. Let's keep on pushing.
Slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face.
All right, let's get back to the answer. Hold on.
Theoretically,
so
scientifically.
Let's go ahead and just break up this whole immigrant discussion right now, because like I said, everything was already solved back then. The only thing that happened was this man was assassinated before he had an opportunity to do this. He didn't quit. He didn't sell out. He didn't take a payout, or the things that, you know, we like to talk about, or talk about him as if he did, but we'll glorify all these snitch ass drug dealers and gang members and shit. We'll do that.
Everything else. And it seems to me that white America must see that no other ethnic group has been a slave on American soil. That is one thing that other immigrant groups haven't had to face. The other thing is that the color became a stigma. American society made the Negro's color a stigma, and that can never be overlooked. So I think these things are absolutely necessary. The other thing is that America freed the slaves in I mean, 1863, through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality.
Important. And words mean something, especially a man that was able to command his tongue the way Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. could. He's probably not a greater orator in American history, and that's on either side. America freed the slaves in 1863. Let them go, but didn't give them anything. It's like, do you know if you released a dog into the wild and somebody saw you and took pictures, if you just took your dog, you didn't want him anymore, you took him out to the woods and you let him go, do you realize you would be arrested for that? Didn't give him anything. And this is an animal that could hunt. But he'll hunt before he starves, right? Do you understand the importance of these words? Do you understand that you didn't free yourself? The slaves didn't free themselves. There was no violent revolution, no overthrow. America just said, you know something, we're going to free the slaves. For whatever reason they did, we can argue that later. Let's go.
And as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base. And yet,
hear that? So all of this, you know, something's wrong with black people in the United States because y'all just don't work hard as everybody else. I'm hearing this from people that are from here. I'm hearing this from immigrants. I'm hearing this from whites. I'm hearing this from blacks. I'm hearing this from black immigrants. I'm hearing this from Haitians, Floridians. Come on, man. Mr. Goodbread says, to me, Big Mike, we need to give the brother Jackie Robinson more credit and praise. That man is my favorite Negro historian. Who, Jackie Robinson, the baseball player? Yeah, I mean, Jackie Robinson broke barriers, man. Jackie Robinson broke barriers, but I would urge you to look this up, Mr. Goodbread. Look up what Jackie Robinson wouldn't do during the Civil Rights Movement. If you notice, Jackie Robinson wasn't all throughout the Civil Rights Movement, right? That's one thing. Just look that up, man. I can't remember exactly what it was, but Jackie Robinson did some pretty suspect stuff. He did some pretty suspect stuff. He had like an American Express. He had like endorsements and things like that he didn't want to put on the line to actually, you know, speak the message. But all in all, Jackie Robinson is a great black man.
it refused to give its black peasants from Africa who came here involuntarily in chains and had worked free for 244 years any kind of economic base. And so emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time. And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation.
All right, man, hold on, I'm gonna put it on pause, man. We got the Westside Kulik in the building. Man, what's happening with you, fam?
All day.
Collaborate and listen. Man, what's happening with you, fam?
Hey, man, doing good, man. I ain't trying to start off your movement here. This is good. People need to see this, man. So I'm gonna hush on up.
Nah, man, people need to see him in his own words, man. This is perhaps one of the most compelling interviews I've ever seen of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., man. Straight up.
Yeah, you know, we got to know these people had these handouts to them, you know, whether it be the Europeans, whether it be Latinos, whether it be the fake $5 Indians, whether it be the Asians, whoever. They've had these handouts to them, and they tell you to lift yourself up by your bootstraps. But we saw the playbook, okay? We know what's going on here. Y'all didn't earn nothing, and y'all still get handouts to this day. So y'all didn't earn shit.
Right. And he exposing this. This is 1967. You know what I mean? So this has been something that was known and it was lost in translation.
That's right.
It was lost in translation. Let's
That's right.
Keep going.
I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps. But it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many Negroes, by the thousands and millions, have been left bootless as a result of all of these years of oppression and as a result of a society that deliberately made his color a stigma and something worthless and degrading.
Apart from wanting to live better, which all of us want to do, to raise one's children in a better way, to be better, does the Negro in America know what he wants to be?
I'm convinced that almost every Negro in this country, other than those who have been so scarred by the system that they've become pathological in the process, and we all have to battle with pathology, and nobody really knows what it means to be a Negro unless one can really experience it. And I know we all have to battle with this constant drain of a feeling of nobodiness. But in spite of this, I think the vast majority of Negroes in this country know that they want to be people, they want to be men, they want equality, period. It just boils down to that. And we haven't been able to be people.
Notice he didn't say they want to be women. He said they want to be men. Now, Mike Wallace, great interviewer. I can't take that away from him, but Mike Wallace is the voice and the information gatherer for the system, for the other side at this time. He's the one that's going to ask those compelling questions that the intelligence wants to know, right? They want to know what's really going on with this dude. This man signed his death warrant with this interview. I guarantee you this is what it was. Because the I Have a Dream speech, the one that they say is the most important thing he ever said and spoke, pales in comparison to this interview. If that was the case, Dr. Martin Luther King would have got killed in 1964 along with Malcolm X. Just saying.
We haven't been men because of all of the conditions that we've lived with and the syndrome of deprivation surrounding conditions, whether it's in housing, in the economic area, or in schools, or in the vicious credit practices that we face in the ghetto, and all of the problems of closed doors and constant defeats. But in spite of all this, I think we all know, basically, that we want to be men. We want to be persons judged not on the basis of the color of our skin, but on the basis of the content of our character.
Okay.
But you know.
All right. People take that line out of context all the time. They take that line out of context every time. But think about what he's saying and think about what's happening on the other side of this movement, of the civil rights legislation. Think about the feminism. Think about what's creeping up on the other side. So as he's died by this time in this fight to be men, to take our future into our hands, to, pull ourselves up by our bootstraps after we get that pair of boots, right? At least get a pair of boots first, nigga. And then pull yourself up by the motherfuckers. It's basically what he's saying. That's something so y'all can understand today, right? But we need a pair of boots first. And I'm talking about not even 3 years later, undercut all of that. So really what a black man was able, a Negro man, I see
$20.
Damn. All right, man. I'm gonna stop. Let me reset the mic. There we go. Let's reset. All right, there we go. All right. The Negro man was literally able to be a man for like 18 months. And it's been on and popping ever since until monkeypox came out and Roe v. Wade got overturned. it's been downhill ever since then.
Hey, Mike, did you have a experience or experiences when the whole George Floyd thing happened, where pale-faced people were coming up to you and, "How are you?
Nope.
Are you okay?" Okay.
Nope, because it happened while we were quarantined. We were chilling. We were in the house. I had a garden going. I ain't had to see nobody. So
Well,
that whole year, I wasn't even out the house for real.
Well, I was outside every day, and I tell you, it was like that movie with Will Smith. He was out there with them zombies and such. But when I was outside talking to them or whoever, when they would come up to me, he would ask me about that. How are you? And all this kind of stuff. And at the time, I was living in the worst part of the country, which is the DMV. Horrible.
Right.
They were it's just very condescending. But it was like, for a quick second, they saw maybe 1% of humanity within you. It was very funny to me. Very funny.
I mean, it just that whole video, man, I have to say, to me, was gut wrenching. It's just one of those things that when you're watching it, you kind of squirming the whole time, because you're trying to, you can feel what it would be like for somebody to do that to you. So as a that was disturbing. I think that's what was the hardest part about it. I remember Rush Limbaugh and the Breakfast Club doing a freaking show together at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it was the reset, bro.
Right.
Like, all of this is reset. And I'll stick to my original theory from the beginning. White supremacy was terminally ill when I started doing this. That was my whole thesis. 2019, I'm like, white supremacy is pretty much over with. I used to tell a dude that I worked with, he was an older white guy, man. He was cool. We could talk, He's like, man, I just don't know what's going on. I'm like, yo, man, old white dudes are going out of style, bro. Ask light-skinned niggas. I'm sorry, West Side, but ask light-skinned niggas when Wesley Snipes, hit old girl on Jungle Fever, bro. That shit was a wrap. It was just a wrap for y'all.
Remember that part of the movie where she was crying at the end?
Hey, look. Hey, that's just a wrap. It was a wrap for the light-skinned dudes after that, man. First I had, Nino Brown and Christopher Williams getting punked out by him, Kareem Akbar down at the bank, CMB bigger than Nino Brown, you know what I'm saying? So, but it was that, and all of a sudden, like, Al B. Sure songs weren't popular no more. R. Kelly started taking over, so it just became a world for dark-skinned dudes. It was the same situation with old white men in like 2018, 2017 through 2018, 2019 was probably the roughest time old white men have experienced in this country. So after George Floyd, it was just that brief reset. It's like, okay, are these niggas gonna kill us? Are they gonna take revenge? What's gonna happen because of this? They were on edge.
And that's what they're doing to me. It was, again, when I was living there in that piece of shit, like, it was, it's a blue state, it's liberal. So they were, how are you? Whatever. But at the same time, they had that intent. So it's just funny. And then again, I look at this video, I've seen it, and people got to know MLK was on, I'm going to say it in my opinion, he was on a better role than Malcolm. Malcolm was coming into this knowledge, and then they were about to actually come together and get this going. But that's why they had to get them up out of there. That's why.
Oh, yeah. Hey, man, hold on one sec, man. We got my man Bernard S. in the building, Facts and Uncomfortable Truth. Shout out to you, brother. We got the village deep up in here tonight, man. We got 20 people up in here, man. I'm seeing 2 likes. Just hit the like button, man. Give us a like, man. It doesn't take give us a dislike. It don't matter. Give me a thumbs down. Just engage with the like button. Engage with one of the thumbs. You know what I mean? For your boy. Do that for me. But nah, man, I wouldn't say it was a better that's where I get stuck at, is because I don't think one was better than the other. I just think one had the right approach for where he was, and the other one never really got off the ground with what he was doing.
I'm not saying better. I'm just saying Martin Luther King came into this knowledge quicker, and and Malcolm was about to, hit that flank and understand where to stop firing his thing. So I mean, that's really what I'm saying. I don't, I like both of them. I have a shirt that, you know, them shaking hands and stuff like that. That was before all this, but I'm just saying, like, when you realize your identity, how many of these people, first of all, these Europeans that came over here, they were kicked out by their own people. They were the thugs, they were the prisoners, they were the mentally ill, they were the rapists, they were the scum of the earth, they were the untouchables. Then they came over here, we gave them handouts. So they've always been a piece of shit.
Right.
We didn't get so quote unquote white royalty over here. We got the worst part of Europe over here.
Oh no, the royalty didn't have no reason to come over here.
Right.
Other than to collect taxes. And they send their troops to do that shit. So, you know, they ain't have to come over here.
That's right.
Hey, man, what's up with you, Antoine Matt? Got you in the building. Thank you. Finally, hey, we're glad to have you on this live stream. Man, look, man, we breaking down the hero, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I think it's time for us to re-elevate this brother and reevaluate our position. But we need to elevate him back to the position he needs to be in. And we need to take his image back from being hijacked. His image has been hijacked. He's been stuck in a stasis, a homeostasis of I have a dream. When you see that he was way more complex than that, right? I mean, look at how he grew in those 4 years. Look at his eyes. It was a difference. It was 3 or 4 different phases and stages of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And everybody just pigeonholes him into this nice little, weak little bundle. They do Jesus the same way. I don't know if you noticed that. They act like Jesus wasn't a pure D rider, you know? But like I told him, look up Alonzo Herndon. The former Herndon Homes projects in Atlanta is named after Alonzo Herndon of Atlanta Life Insurance. He also owned funeral homes. They were sneaking guns in through caskets. They had a stockpile of weapons for this movement.
Deacons of Defense.
The Deacons of Defense? That's what they were called?
One of them, yeah.
I didn't have a name for it.
Yeah, Deacons
I've
of
heard
Defense.
this from some brothers around here, some Grady babies around here in Atlanta that told me that. These brothers had guns, man.
Oh, yeah, Deacons, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you read Rosa Parks, if you read her autobiography, Rosa Parks was a rider, and she came from some shooters and riders.
Facts.
That's why I have a Rosa Parks Barbie doll. Rosa Parks Barbie doll.
That's right.
I bought that shit. When I saw that, I pressed, let's go, pay now. I don't play with Barbies. But I got that damn Barbie doll. These people were riders, man. These people were shooters. And if they would have wanted it to go there, it could have went there. It wasn't that everybody was cowering down, getting their ass whooped. Oh, Lord. They just knew that the optics of that would help us achieve our goals of becoming humans in the South. It wasn't about integrating. It was literally about being treated like a human. If you got a shit, you can use the bathroom, yo. You got to piss, you can use the bathroom. If you need some water, you can get some water from the water fountain. It wasn't about, oh, we should have built our own water fountains. We probably did have our own water fountains in our damn neighborhood, fool. But what happened when you got to travel somewhere else? But a lot of that is that up north mentality. A lot of niggas ain't never left their neighborhood.
Facts.
So,
facts.
Come on, man.
And that's why I say them DMV niggas and all them up there, they got all this money, whether it be trash or nigger ghetto trash, whatever you call them, fucking weirdos. My thing is the ones that got all that money. And you made a good point, because I asked them, have you ever actually left where you're from or whatever? And a lot of them haven't. They get their little good job to make all this money, you know, making $250K a year, whatever. And they get, and the word is comfortable. They get comfortable, and that's all they need. Fuck everybody else. The most selfish, ignorant motherfuckers in that part of the country is that piece of shit over there. And that's who's running this shit in this black boule. And Atlanta too. You
They the richest.
Yeah,
the richest black place in the United States is in Silver Spring, Maryland, in that area, the DMV.
Horrible motherfuckers. I mean, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, I go in there, man. When I walked into the little cigar shop across from the White House, seen all them damn pompous ass, stuck up ass niggas in DC, working in DC, not doing shit. It ain't that we don't have people in DC working. That ain't the problem. Just like the problem was we didn't have money. No, we had money. We couldn't stop motherfuckers from stealing the damn money. We had no legal recourse to recuperate our damn money. Look, we're going to get it cooking tonight, man. I'm going to play this. Give me one moment. I'll play this. I'll be right back.
Know that many young Negroes don't want anything that smacks of the American white middle class. But do they want something that smacks of whatever is the black middle class? Or do they just not want bourgeois values, which, after all, are the basis of this democracy?
Well, I think we have to see what they are saying. I would be the first to agree that integration does not mean giving up everything that has an Afro-American taint, so to speak, a background. I think there are certain unique things within any culture and certain cultural patterns that when you get to the process of amalgamation can really lift the whole culture. And it seems to me that integration at its best is the opportunity to participate in the beauty of diversity. I think the other thing that we've got to see is that these young people are saying that there must be a revolution of values in our country. As Jimmy Baldwin said on one occasion, what advantage is there in being integrated into a burning house? And I feel that there is a need for a revolution of values in America, because some of the values that presently exist are certainly out of line with the values and the idealistic structure that brought our nation into being. Unfortunately, we haven't been true to these ideals, and many of the values of so-called white middle-class society are values that need to be reviewed and re-evaluated, and in a real sense, they need to be changed. So I think the young people in the Negro community who are raising these questions are raising some very profound questions about our total society. In other words, they are saying that there must be a restructuring of the architecture of our society where values are concerned. And with this, I would agree with. So in the quest for integration, I think we can offer our whole nation something, because there are three evils in our nation. It's not only racism, but economic exploitation of poverty would be one, and then militarism. And I think in a sense, and in a very real sense, these three are tied inextricably together, and we aren't going to get rid of one without getting rid of the other.
When you stood on the Lincoln Memorial that day in August '63, and you said, "I had a dream," did that dream envision that you?
All right. Yeah. What's up, world class? Yeah. A lot of people have never seen this before. And that's that, and I've seen it before. And like I said, I just took for granted that everybody had seen it. He said a lot in that last little segment when I was gone to unpack. And it's funny, the conversation me and Westside are having, it's almost like we're having this conversation inside of his brain, because they bring up the bourgeois. They bring up what the young people wanted. And when I say that the practices of white supremacy are now black people, that's the group I'm talking about. That's the group that's saying that black women need abortions. That's the group that's saying LGBT rights and animal rights and save the whales and all this bullshit, besides dealing with us. Stop Asian hate. You saw the Asian chick at the beginning of the show talking about slavery. She feels comfortable in our country talking about slavery. These people feel comfortable over here talking shit to us. And to be honest, we're the only people that's really fixed our society. And it's not perfect, because they keep bringing y'all over here. So it gets less and less perfect. The more different people they throw into the pot, now we got to adjust the seasoning and the spice level, right? It's like making gumbo. The more meat you put in there, the more seasoning you got to put in there, because the meat soaks up the seasoning. They're putting a lot of meat in here. They're soaking up a lot of resources and taking away from the fight. Man, we got XL Pro in the building. Salute to you, fam. But yo, and then, you know, people will say that Martin Luther King said, I integrated my people into a burning house. Did you just hear him quote the brother who said that? You see what I mean?
You know, Mike, another strategy these bourgeois or boule people do, a Sigma Pi Phi and blah, blah, blah. What they're doing now and what I'm seeing, they'll tell everybody in the world to, and I want to take this analogy, take a piece of bread and take, you know, get your knife and get a whole bunch of jam. Now, I want you to take a majority of that jam and put it on the corner of the bread. And they'll say, okay, we're only 13% in this country. So we got, you know, a majority of that jam. It's a whole lot on the corner of the bread. And you don't spread it and see actually how much people are actually in this country accurately. You'll never know. So my point is, what the boule will tell you is, yeah, just go to New York, go to Washington, D.C. You know what I'm saying? Go to Atlanta. You know, good jobs, good this. But what they're doing is they're hightailing these immigrants and these ignorant, racist, violent, evil people over here, buying up your land, shaking hands with them to get rid of you. And they tell you, oh, the Klan's over there. Don't go there. The Klan's every goddamn where in this fucking country. The biggest Klan chapter is in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And that's a liberal fucking state. So that's another thing they have been doing. Y'all need to get out of that dumbass Maryland and DC and New York and dumbass Atlanta. And y'all need to spread how you used to be, my Indians. Let's go.
Let's go. And that's what I'm telling you. I told Amber this the other night. And Dallas D, I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I told Amber this the other night because let me tell you this story, right? We down in Atlanta. We had some friends come in. We went and decided we're gonna catch a Braves game on Friday night. Then we caught the United game the next night at the Mercedes-Benz Dome. So my wife and I decided to take the train. And our people were staying up on the north side of town, which is the rich side of town, Dunwoody, nice white, you know, Indians and all different type of people up there, right? But it's a lot of money up there. That's where Nathan Daly got drug at over in Dunwoody. They were staying by there. But anyway, they took the train downtown as well from the north. So we had already checked the scheduling out. They didn't check the scheduling out, or either they thought that the train schedule was the same. Our trains on the south side of town run till 1:30 a.m. So you can move around all through Oakland City, Bankhead. You can move through all through down here, right? All times of night. When we got finished with the game and they were trying to get back on the train to go back up north, you know that those trains stopped running at 9 o'clock. You can't take your black ass up north on no MARTA train after a certain time of night. They don't want you popping off in Buckhead and Dunwoody and Sandy Springs. They don't want you up there. See, and I realized that this Atlanta Black Mecca was a damn farce.
That's right.
And what they've done is they've disenfranchised the Grady babies up here. They can't even damn vote for their politics the way they want it, the natives, because there's so many transplants here. Most of the people in Atlanta are from Alabama. As many people as I see from Mobile up this motherfucker, Mobile would be bigger than Atlanta if them niggas would move back to Mobile. You see what I mean? I got 20 cousins up here, as if I never even left home. So all they wanted to do was ship the labor up here to uphold this system. Atlanta has a GDP of $354 billion per year. And you got niggas living like they in third world countries around here.
But y'all in Atlanta.
The crime is outrageous.
Oh, yeah.
And you got more people that can't get jobs than people that have all these good jobs. Because guess what? When companies come somewhere, they bring their people with them. They come up with all these fire-ass relocation packages for their people. So we just going to come and we're going to bring our whole management with us. So, yeah, we might hire you for $10 an hour to come, you know, mop up some floors, clean up some toilets. But all these jobs are not really benefiting. It's only overcrowding the city and crowding the people that are natives to here out. And I'm going to be honest, they don't really fuck with you like that. They cool, you know, if you're a Negro, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, they cool. I don't feel no reason to stay away from the south side and be, you know, I stay on the southwest side. That's the worst side. Let them tell it. But guess what? Delta just had a job fair today over in Clarkston for Afghanistani refugees. Now, nigga here, you got to damn figure out a way. You got to know somebody. You got to get a website. Then you can't even get an application on the website. You got to get a website just to get a packet sent to you in the mail. Then you fill the packet out. Then you got to go take the test and do all that. They came to a bunch of Afghanistani refugees with jobs.
Yeah, and that's like I was saying, Mike. That's the biggest trip right now. That's the gun for them on us. Y'all need to go to Montana. Y'all need to go to North Dakotas. And when I say this to so-called black people, they look at me like whatever. But again, this was your whole country. Why are you scared of your own land? There's racism everywhere. There's a Klan. There's all the bullshit and the boogeyman every fucking where. So you guys need to go where you need to go and stop being your own demise.
I think black folks need Negroes. Damn, West Side. What's your cash? I'm gonna cash app you that shit too, for real.
Run that ball.
Okay. I think Negroes, especially in the Northeast and some of these places, Chicago's and these places that just represent urban decay,
right?
And the degradation of the moral fabric, and the to use one of Dr. King's words, the amalgamation of all of these different cultures into our culture and the watering down of our culture at the same time. You know, they need to move back to the country, to the rural areas in the South, Midwest, areas like that. Start moving back to these places, man. Start buying land. World-class BMS. He said, what was the name of the street that Nathan was dragged on so I could laugh some more? He got dragged on World-Class Avenue the other day, though, on Black Man Unfiltered. That's the street he got drugged through. Hey, I just fired my history teacher, man. For real. Thank you. That's why I say this, man. Dig in and get your own story, man. You weren't taught the truth. And a lot of people on here are teaching half-truths, so you got to be able to sift through it. You know what I mean? Trail Hands boxing team, the minister ass whooping in the building. So Joe Biden just gave them $1 billion. So y'all sorority struck to that. Yeah, y'all ski-weeded that shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ski-weeded that shit.
Hey, not to throw out the show here, but Trill, who you got? Benavides? How you say that damn beaner's name? Benavides or Garcia? Who you get?
Hey, man. Oh, they on the boxing tip. They on the boxing tip. He'll put it in the chat for us.
But yeah.
Hey,
I'll just
make sure the land is zoned for your specifications or wants. Absolutely. And there's some more information I got too. You got to make sure you're not buying wetlands. You got to make sure there aren't any endangered species on that land. You got to make sure there aren't any endangered trees and plant life on that land. There's a bunch of questions that you need to ask to make sure that you can do that land, you know, the way you want to. Trill Hand said, Garcia. Man, we're going to get our boxing shit popped off on here with the village too, man. West Side, I want you and Trill Hands, man. I need y'all to link up and be on these boxing matches. Like, for real. We'll get the cameras over there. Y'all just y'all figure it out. Because I don't know the game like y'all do.
Let's do it.
But, you know, I'm big boxing fan. I like boxing. I'll watch anybody beat somebody's head in any day of the week. Hey, dirty folks in the building. Shout out to you, fam. He said, I've been working with Montana tribes for 3 years.
That's right. That's right.
I'm crazy for rebranding our tribe, though. Nah, I'm with you, bro.
That's right. There you go.
Like, look, those are gonna be the people we gotta live around. Then that's the people we gotta live around. But I'm so serious about that. Like, if I win this $1.2 billion lottery that I plan on buying some tickets for, then yeah, I'm definitely going for a couple of 100,000 acres.
Mike, when I tell you this, because I don't know where you've been in this country, but when you go to Montana or Utah, you're gonna be like, fuck Atlanta. I'm just telling you right on site.
I already know, man, okay. Dude. If I go to LaGrange, I'm like, fuck Atlanta. Hey man, if I see a creek running over some rocks, I'm like, fuck Atlanta, you know. Hey man, look, the whole city like monkeypox right now, so you know it just is what it is.
That shit's crazy.
And I got nasty visuals on that. We're gonna do a little monkeypox update, but we're gonna go and finish going through this, man. I wanted to make sure I made it through this and gave Dr. King his real flowers, man. Gave him his real flowers and gave him his fair shake at being rebranded.
You see a war in Asia preventing the federal government doing for the Negroes, preventing the society doing for the Negroes, that which when you stood on the Lincoln Memorial that day in August, 63, and you said, I had a dream, did that dream envision that you could see a war in Asia preventing the federal government doing for the Negroes, preventing the society doing for the Negroes, that which you think had to be done?
No, I didn't envision that then. I must confess that that period was a great period of hope for me. And I'm sure for many others all across the nation, many of the Negroes who had about lost hope, saw a solid decade of progress in the South. And in 1954, which was, 64, 1963, 9 years after the Supreme Court's decision to be in the March on Washington, meant a great deal. It was a high moment, a great watershed moment. But I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to...
All right. So for those who had never heard that before, who swear to me that that was never said, you just heard it yourself from the man's mouth. But it's something about the timing of that war as well. It's something about the timing of that war. So for those who like to point their finger about failure and why we failed and what we did to fail, I notice a lot of people don't bring up the Vietnam War. And I will say this, that the young lady that called in, was she on Black Man Unfiltered the other night, World Class? I think she was on Black Man Unfiltered. She called it, I think her name was Courtney, and she brought that fact up. She brought up the war in Vietnam. For those who like to kind of glaze over that shit to make your point, you have to put yourself in these people's shoes in a history, right? They weren't living in your times being able to come back and Monday morning quarterback the whole movement, the integration movement, because that's what I call it. It was a way to make integration safe for Black people in the South and Negroes in the South. West Side ain't on here, is it? All right, we're gonna try to slide with that one.
Lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And
that means depression.
I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation.
Dr. King, even if there had not been a war in Asia, would you still not have had this nightmare insofar as the Negro movement for equality then touched on two things that the white community holds sacred, their children and their property?
Oh, I have no doubt that we would have encountered great difficulties, great problems of resistance if the war had not been in existence. So,
yeah. Think about the amount of manpower that the draft took from both sides. Think about the amount of the manpower that it took from both sides. See, this goes back to, it's like always circumstances. It's multiple things going on. It's not history's not on a linear path at all. It's not linear. Even though we look at timelines, but if you look at that timeline, it has all these branches off of it, right? Because it's all these things that happen. And so you have to make it specific. But just think about this. It's almost like the Haitian Revolution, right? Now I'm not saying they didn't do their thing by getting free from France, but you got to look at what France had going on at the time Haiti decided to revolt. The French Revolution kicked off in 1789, the bloodiest revolution known to man. Napoleon came out of the French Revolution, right? Napoleon, the Louisiana Purchase. Haiti fell, right? The slaves in Haiti took over. But look at what was going on in France. France was offloading all of its Western interests. That's why the Haitian Revolution, 1804, the Louisiana Purchase, 1803, Napoleon, 1804. It's all of these things happen. It's not a linear occurrence. You see what I'm saying? These are different things that happen to impact other things. Napoleon decided he would say, forget the West and just terrorize the shit out of Europe and the East, which is what he did. So it may have been not all based on the resolve of the Haitians, right? As to why they gained their independence and then quickly declined. They gained their independence. They didn't thrive after they gained their independence. Let's just keep that a book as well. But look at, for those who like to say that this generation failed, to say it with such boldness, that they failed on some things. They fucked some shit totally up, especially the ones after this generation, the ones that weren't born in the 20s, right? Dr. King was born in the 20s. Integration generation. I would say his folks were the civil rights generation. His parents were probably part of the civil rights generation. But I'm going to switch my theory on this, and I'll just take a little bit of liberty historically, right? This is the integration generation. Our parents were the integrated generation. We were the totally integrated generation. And our kids are becoming the disintegrated generation. It's all falling apart. It's all unraveling right now. And that's what it was meant to do because of these many, many different factors that were put into play at the same time. So we had this. He would be dead in a year after this. Dr. King would be dead in 11 months after this, right? In Memphis, Tennessee, at the Lorraine Hotel, shot by James Earl Ray, so they say. Feminism, sexual revolution, summer of love, that was all 68. Then everything burned in 68 as well. Summer of 68, summer of 69. Things were burning in our communities in the North. After Dr. King died, it was killed, things started burning all over for a while. Do you see? History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. There's harmony in all of these different movements. There's harmony in the Haitian Revolution. There's harmony in the integration and what the semblance of the Black Revolution or the Negro Revolution was in this country. There's harmony between that. There's harmony between what happened to George Floyd and what happened in the summer of 2020. There's harmony to that. But each time something happens like this, each time history rhymes, you come out with just a little bit more progress. And your enemy understands that. Your enemy isn't just the pale-faced man. Your enemy is some of these black bourgeois boule motherfuckers too. This is my mother on here, Pam, man. What's up, mama? Said, keep in mind the number of vets who came back drug addicted and PTSD, which again diluted the strength of the black man. Facts. Facts. the drug addiction was what led to the cocaine revolution, which was led to the crack epidemic, which is what led to the crime epidemics. And now we're at monkeypox. Goddamn. So many factors.
You ever notice, Mike, when I look throughout history and I look at this map of this country here, how they corral us in certain parts of the country and they get us really weak. So my point is saying is, some people may call this ley lines. I would go by what our forefathers and foremothers said, where they said, don't live here, don't go there. So the reasons why I'm saying about the East Coast or the DMV is nobody's supposed to live on that God-forsaken trash land. That's where they casted spells over there. I know it sounds strange or weird to y'all, but there's a reason why the white eye, meaning the pale face of white people, pushed everybody over there in the second phase of the Trail of Tears. Remember, there was 2 phases of the Trail of Tears, by the way.
Right.
First, we came from the west to the east. Then we came from the east to the west.
Right.
They don't tell you about the history out west and what was going on out there for a fucking reason. I don't tell you that. But
right.
They put us in the most weakest parts of the land to dilute your brain and energy. You can't take a battery, right, and put it on the wrong charge and expect it to do something. So we're on the wrong charge. That's another reason why we can't get shit done.
Right. World Class says the hidden history as to what destroyed men in the past is child alienation. Yes. And that was part of that system that went in. It's the same system that destroyed men. Yeah, it's the same system. But guess what? Dr. King had no idea that system was coming into play. He had no idea about feminism and things like this at this time. He had no idea that this stuff was going on when he did this interview. These are things that we have the luxury of sitting back and being able to look at all of the evidence compiled and the data in one place, right? It's been compiled by historians and put into a nice little story for us. But we did not have to navigate this shit. He was in the middle of navigating this. And there's nothing in my heart that tells me he didn't mean every word he said and that he didn't plan on doing everything that he said he wanted to do. I just can't find, they say he did this with the sex and all that. Cool. He probably needed to bust a nut. I ain't gonna lie. He probably needed a freak after some of the shit he went through. You know what I'm saying? I'm dead serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
Getting locked up 30 plus. How many times was Dr. King locked up? 29, 30 times?
Who knows?
Get beat up, threatened. Your wife and kids under scrutiny. They at the house under security, armed security. I'm sure. Yeah, he probably needed to freak off every now and then out on the road. Look.
Damn.
You could implode.
Yeah.
You can implode. It's like a man being off at war. Come on, man.
That I'm not going to say that all of our problems will be solved if the war in Vietnam is ended, but I do say that the war makes it infinitely more difficult to deal with these problems. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a fact of history, so that we do face many more difficulties as a result of the war. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. I noticed the other day, some weeks ago, a Negro was shot down in Chicago, and it was a clear case of police brutality. That was on page 30 of the paper, but on page 1 at the top was 780 Viet Cong killed. That is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction, and it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence. And it strengthened the military-industrial complex of our country. And it's made our job much more difficult, because I think we can go along with some programs, if we didn't have this war on our hands, that would cause people to adjust to new developments, just as they did in the South. They said they'd never ride the bus with us, blood would flow in the streets, they wouldn't go to school, and all of these things. But when people came to see that they had to do it because the law insisted, they finally adjusted. And I think white people all over this country will adjust once the nation makes it clear that in schools, in housing, we've got to learn to live together as brothers. I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rates, so to speak. Didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something.
Okay. So what does that talk? How does that play into the discussion that we're having today? We're having a whole reparations discussion today. And you got people that are saying that we crazy, that, you know, we wrong. This isn't in the spirit of Dr. King. You'll hear people say that shit. Look, man, we got a phone call on. Let's see. 251. Yo, what's up? What's up? Who we got?
Man, you got the Minister of Ass Whooping.
Man, we got the Minister of Ass Whooping in this motherfucker. Man, what's up, man? How you doing?
Not much, man. I'm gonna put that shit on one of my t-shirts, man.
I would. Hold on, let me cut that down.
Man.
Go ahead, brother.
Well, can you hear me?
I hear you just well.
Well, I have something to say about everything that's been going on, man. Have y'all noticed the amount of silence that's been going on over the past months since certain people are in office when it comes to, you know, the wrongdoings of us?
Yeah.
I remember I made the comment of the 3 point. I didn't give the specifics of numbers. The $3.4 billion that this dude have gave the Afghan refugees. Now, remember, these are the people that ran away from defending their country. They left their women, they left their kids behind because they were afraid. So you gave $3.4 billion to a bunch of immigrant cowards, but you haven't given anything of what you said. When he really didn't say he was gonna give black people nothing.
No, he made no promises.
We just ran on the strength of, well, they just ran. I didn't vote for this dude. They just ran on the strength of Trump being racist. And black people at that time were the most diehard, pro-black, fake revolutionary ass people that you could ever see on social media. Wanna know why? You wanna know why that white man is so damn powerful, dog? He is the only person that holds the key to tell black people when to revolutionize.
Damn.
As long as the media don't say revolutionize, black people ain't gonna do shit. A white man have to tell them to, okay, black people, it's time for y'all to get mad. Now, I'm going to give you the okay to get mad. All right? You're going to tear up your own neighborhood and your own shit. Keep killing each other. I want y'all to get very, very, very mad. Not at us, but just get mad.
Mm-hmm.
All right? We're going to use this white supremacist term. We're going to drill it in y'all head. We're going to make the forefront leaders of the anti-white supremacist movement women, other white people, and some of the gay people. Those are going to be y'all leaders. And y'all are supposed to follow those leaders. Hey, the hell with the free thinking straight black man. Forget them. Nah, they trouble. They going to mess up our agenda.
Now,
But I don't want y'all niggas to get mad unless I tell y'all to get mad, because I still run you motherfuckers.
Shit. Hey, I'm gonna bring 662
I
in.
run y'all.
I'm gonna bring 662 in with us. 662, we got you in the building.
Hello?
Hey, is this Libby?
Yes.
Libby.
Yeah, this is Libby.
Libby. Hey,
yeah.
we got the minister ass whooping on here too, Libby. So yeah, we having a real conversation tonight. You still there, Sean?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right.
What I'm saying is, I don't want y'all to revolutionize. I tell you to revolutionize. You don't do nothing until me, your white daddy, say do it, or your white mama say do it. All right? So, just like the image, just like Disney have, last time the Black Panther movie was, but I always told people that that's not really our image of excellence. That was a white man's vision of how he wanted it to look. He wanted to make it look pretty good. He wanted to make it look like candy.
Hey,
he wanted it to taste good, but at the end of the day, it was bad for you.
Hold that.
Now the image now is women.
Hold that thought though, because if you were a Negro American, I got you, West Side. See, yeah. If you were a Negro American, do you know who your character was on the Black Panther?
Killmonger.
Killmonger. Right. So the Black Panther was
Killmonger.
Kind of sneak.
That was my favorite character.
That was my favorite character too, because he most represented my interests. Libby, go on, tap in. What you got?
When he threw his ass.
Hey, what you got, Libby? Go tap in.
Okay. Hello to everyone there, Brother Kulik, and for Big Mike. First of all, I'd like to say, Big Mike, thank you very much. Kudos to you and West Side for bringing this to everyone's attention about Dr. King and playing him in his own words. Thank the both of you for your expert analysis, because I do believe and agree that it is something that needs to be said. And so I want to wholeheartedly thank you for doing that, because I think what so many people miss is that they don't study people in their own words. They tend to take what other people have said or written about them. I taught a class on Dr. King and his theology, and I've studied him, his papers, his writings, his letters, everything that he has written in his speeches, sermons, in his own words. There is a set of book volumes by Claiborne Carson, who's at Berkeley. Coretta Scott King, they wanted to put together Martin Luther King papers, and so they gave the project to Carson Claiborne at Berkeley, and he put together brilliantly. It's 7 volumes now, and I think when he's finished, there'll probably be about 12 to 14 volumes.
Wow!
But it's everything that he has written, people who have written him. I mean, just everything is there. And you can really get a sense of this man and who he really was. Like, no one knows that he tried to commit suicide twice, at the age of 7, and then at the age of 15. He did. And he was a very troubled man toward the end of his life. His doctor would prescribe him medication for him to even sleep, because he's getting, like I said, over 2,000 death threats a day. So his doctor was, I don't know if you saw the movie, The Green Book. I mean, I didn't see that, watch that.
I didn't see it. I
but
heard about
anyway,
it.
I didn't see that either. But the doctor, the classical pianist in that movie, his brother was Dr. King's physician. And so most people, like you said, and put it so succinctly, that, they've given Martin Luther King this bad name. But this man, there were 3 different periods in his life where he changed. So there's another trilogy written by Taylor Branch about Dr. King in the years Pillars of Fire, Canaan's Edge, and Parting the Waters. There's the book Bearing the Cross by David Garrow. But I encourage people to go and read and study Dr. King and his theology because his early thinking came out of the Black prophetic tradition, okay, the Black church. He used to drive from Crozer when he was at Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania. He would drive from there to Howard University in Washington, D.C. to listen to Mordecai Johnson, who was the president of Howard University at the time, who was a dynamic speaker who had been to India, who had met Mahatma Gandhi and talked about the movement in India. And that is what sparked his early beginnings of, that nonviolent movement. Because before that, after the Montgomery bus boycott, he was always talking about Christian love. But when he went to India after the decision, after the Montgomery bus boycott, they told him, they said, you're going to have to change, your philosophy about this Christian love because everyone is not Christian. So that's when he, got into more of this kind of nonviolent or non-existent type of movement. But I mean, I can't say enough about this man. As you can see, I'm very passionate about that.
I love it. I love the energy.
Grossly misunderstood.
Yes.
He's grossly misunderstood. And also, Coretta, I want to say a couple of things about her as well, who had a great influence on this man and his thinking. Now, most people don't know that she was pretty radical herself, okay? And when they were dating, she had given him a book called Looking Backwards by Edward Bellamy, who talked about capitalism. And that's when he came to that conclusion about capitalism, that capitalism has run its course, okay, that it was coming to its end. And he kind of stood on that. As you can see, he came to this kind of democratic kind of socialism thinking. And he was just dynamic and awesome. I went on enough about him, but about his name, I wanted to clear up about his name, because there's this debate and discussion about his name not being Martin Luther King. He was actually born Michael Luther King Jr., named after his father. But what happened was Martin Sr. was kind of estranged from his father for some time because he left home when he was 14 and came to Atlanta and went to Morehouse. But he, when his father was dying, he went to see his father, and his father told him, he said, I always wanted you to be named. He had a brother named Martin and one named Luther, and he told him he wanted to name him after both of his brothers, but his mother wanted to name him after the archangel in the Bible named Michael. And so that's how his father came to be named Michael. And of course, Martin's name was Michael, right?
Right.
So his father was dying, and so he told his father that he would honor that decision and that he would change the name, okay? So they say he changed it, but then there are some accounts, even his close friends said that he did not change the name. Now, the State Department recorded it, said they say, we don't know, they could have changed this after the death, but they said that, that the father had gone to Ghana, and so his passport, he had changed his name to Martin Luther King. But if you listen to Dr. King's speech, his last speech in Memphis, I've been to the mountaintop in that speech, he says even he thought that he was named after Martin Luther, you know, the Reformation
95 Thesis.
Minister, who attacked the 95 Thesis, in Germany. So, but toward the end of his death, yes, he was a very troubled man. Most of the people had turned against him, even the ministers, people that he thought were close to him, like Jesse Jackson. Like most of the people around him, most of them were agents. And even he kind of had, I think there's a movie I've read that's coming out about him, Martin, on the big screen in 2027. And it's probably going to be a lot of nasty stuff in there about him.
And they probably going to get a Nigerian to play it.
Oh, of course they are.
Yeah, they're going to get a Nigerian to come play it.
It won't be an indigenous person.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll be somewhere, Afghanistan, maybe even, you know, and it may be a transgender. Who knows?
Right.
I'm
waiting on them. I'm waiting on them to come with that. They already tried Malcolm with the bisexuality. I'm waiting on them to come with the agenda for Dr. King, because they're trying to tie him into their movement. Because, like I said, all of those movements are tied into our movement. They're the parasitic, bastardized children of our movement. And I'll be the first to say it. Feminism, LGBT, all that shit is the bastardized version of the movement that we created and the movement that we went through, even immigration. And I'll say it.
That's right.
Yeah, so we're not falling for the cap over here. I mean, I already did a Fire Your History Teacher part 1 or part 2 was about George Washington Carver, because the community was trying to, you know, pull him in and say this, but they didn't know that George Washington Carver was a eunuch. He couldn't even have sex. You see what I'm saying? And the man that they were accusing him of having sex with was a married man. These dudes were just so dedicated to their work. They didn't have time. They were asexual beings in that sense. He was. But no, I appreciate you. I appreciate you tapping in. Sean, what else you got on there? Because I got another video I want to show.
Well, I heard, well, not heard, but read in one of my history books. Wait a minute. Let me take that back. It wasn't a history book from college. It was an actual write-up a guy had written up about George Washington Carver. The reason his voice was like that, because they said he was castrated.
He was castrated, yeah.
It was castrated. That's why, and you know, when the testicles are the main source of our testosterone. It controls everything that's masculine about it. So once that is removed, you know, that's where the light touch voice comes from. You know what I'm saying? So them, the LGBT, the lettuce, the bacon, tomato sandwich people, whatever.
PLTs. The
you know what I'm saying?
Community.
They would try to tie him into that because of his voice, because of the tone of his voice.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm more. I got much respect for Martin.
Let's talk about this.
But the thing about it is, man, to me, this is my opinion, and I got my opinion. The teachings and the philosophies of Martin is the reason why Black people run away. It kind of crippled the resistance factor of us. You know, because every time we get ready to, you know, to get something done, you know, to step out, you know, to stud up and, you know, fight, we want to rely back on the peaceful version of Martin. Not the revolutionary version of Martin, but the peaceful version of Martin. It's almost like a gift and a curse at the same time. Me personally, it's more of a curse because it crippled our resistant attitude.
Well, Martin,
you know, we always Martin would have been peaceful and this and that.
But would Martin be
you know,
peaceful,
I'm like, dude,
Martin was leading these folks in the slaughterhouses.
I just couldn't.
He was leading these folks in the slaughterhouses. You know what I'm saying? He was literally leading folks into situations. And think about this: Gandhi got 500,000 Indians killed. You know that with the non-violent shit. It was like 500,000 Indians got slaughtered fucking with
And
guns.
hell, Gundy didn't even like black folks.
He ain't like black folks either. But I think, but that's
Gundy
why I
was
think,
racist.
but that's why I think that whole non-violent thing was all cap for the news cameras. Because behind closed doors, them brothers had funding, them brothers had guns, them brothers had ammo. That was all publicity stunts. Now, see, they gave us the watered down version of Dr. King in civil rights books and Black History Month and all that. They give you the watered down version. They purposely cut this man's life 5 years short when it comes to teaching about what he wanted and what his you see what I'm saying? I mean, you get to 1963 Dr. King and he lived to 68. So I mean, and I didn't mean for Libby to get off. I wanted you to stay on with the sister. So if you want to call back, please do. But I wanted to jump into this because I want to talk about this. You know, Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King, right? And we think that they were enemies or whatnot, and they thought differently. But I want to talk about a story that this guy wrote. It's on iHistory. It's by Hassan Munir. And you got to take this with a grain of salt. But I'm going to tell you why I think there may be some truth to this, but I still have to verify this, okay? So Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. lived very different lives and couldn't build a working relationship with each other until Malcolm embraced Islam. When Malcolm left the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, and actually went to Saudi and became a real Muslim, you know, took the pilgrimage, the Hajj to Mecca and became a Muslim. That's when he started to embrace what Martin was talking about. See, a lot of times you will hear said backwards. You'll say that Martin embraced what Malcolm was talking about, but actually it was the opposite. Malcolm was embracing what Martin was talking about. So this is the encounter, right? This is how it went according to this historian. So the encounter, if there were two outstanding leaders of a popular movement working for the same cause at the same time, you would assume that they probably come across each other often. But the two most prominent leaders of the civil rights movement in the United States in the 1950s and 60s, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr., only met each other once. And even then, it was almost by accident. It was on March 26, 1964, in Washington, D.C. Malcolm had come to the U.S. Senate to attend a debate about civil rights. After it was over, he slipped into the back row to attend a debate. He slipped into the back row of a nearby news conference of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. At the end of it, Martin left through one door and Malcolm quickly slipped out of another one and stopped King in his path. This is in quotes. "Well, Malcolm," said King, "good to see you." "Good to see you," Malcolm replied. And the reporters started to gather around them as they shook hands and started to take pictures. King was visibly surprised by the encounter, but Malcolm grinned as he turned to his fellow civil rights activists and teasingly said, "Now you're going to get investigated." Then they parted ways. They never met each other again. Dr. Malcolm X was killed in 1964. Later that year, I can't remember. I think Malcolm X was killed in what, April, May of 64? When was Malcolm X killed in 64? Now I'm gonna have to look that up exactly. Give me one moment. I'm gonna do my damn phone, son.
February 21st.
Of 64.
65.
65. Okay, 65 is when Malcolm X was murdered. By his own people, we might add.
Yeah.
But I got a little video about this, and I'm gonna tell you why I feel like there's some truth to this. I feel, I normally don't just go with everything and say everything is true, but I want to tell you why I feel like there's some truth to this, right? Dirty Folk says all black men are misrepresented in history, while black women are overinflated in history. When black men do something, they name the thing. When black women do something, they name the woman. Facts. And we're seeing that now. I say thank God for us. The majority of our opposition is either pregnant or has monkeypox right now, and they got to deal with it. So I'm gonna show you why I feel like that statement may have been kind of true on that end. Let's pull this up here because I want to show y'all this video, and I think something's wrong. Let's see. Let's go. All right. So this is the meeting. It's just footage of the meeting, right? So check this out. So, what do y'all find strange about that whole video? Anybody? You on, Sean? Thought he was on.
Man, I can't see it. I'm driving.
You can't see it. You can't see it, right? You can't see it. But
I'm driving.
You can't see it. But name one thing you didn't do. You did not hear anything on that video. You cannot find that video with any audio.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that they had audio on cameras at that point in time. They had microphones, they had audio. So the audio.
What video was it, Mike?
It was Malcolm X meeting Martin Luther King and then them shaking hands. The only time they met.
Yeah. That's it.
The audio is conspicuously missing on that video. Which is why I feel like what this gentleman said could possibly be true. Why would they take the audio off if nothing was said of any real importance, right?
Why was it so private?
The video's out. You can see him clearly.
Wasn't no words. All you see was a handshake.
You see the handshake, but there's no audio. Yeah. You can't hear anybody in the background. Nothing.
And it was one of them. It was one of them. All right, man. I'm gonna holler at you later. Type of handshakes.
Potentially, possibly. But we know Malcolm was gone later on that after not even a year later. Just about 11 months later, Malcolm was gone. And he was shut down in between. But I think that the story gets twisted a lot of times as if Malcolm X or as if Martin Luther King was a fan of Malcolm X and not the other way around. I personally think that when it comes down to it, both of these men had tremendous respect for the work they were doing. They just would have did it a different way. And no, they couldn't meet and have a debate out in front of the damn white public in the 60s. Because they know that that would be exploited by the agencies.
But to me, Mike, you know, the biggest cancer to Martin and his work was two things.
What?
Not really wanting independence from white society and damn Barrett Rusty.
I would say this about the not wanting independence. And as you can hear on the video, Dr. King was a very layered man. And I believe that he eventually wanted to get to the sun, but he understood we had to pass a bunch of planets to get to there first. So I feel like that his whole thing for integrating, because integration wasn't his idea, right? We already established that integration wasn't something he fought for. Nah. He wasn't in the integration thing, in the integration arguments. That was the generation before him. Martin Luther King was interested in the safe integration because the law made the integration. I mean, the Supreme Court is the one who mandated integration, right? Dr. King wanted to make sure that it was safe integration. He wanted to ensure Black people's safety, especially in the South. So I can't say that coming out wanting to be independent and all that wasn't the end game. I'm sure it was the end game, but I think he was smart enough to not fool himself into thinking that he could just do that right off the rip. And his life was cut short. We have to understand that too. He didn't just quit. He didn't retire. He didn't take a payout. He caught that lead.
And then they say the family had a civil suit because I'm hearing stories say he didn't die on the scene. Said he died at the hospital.
That's true.
They said he was
suffocated on that pillow. Yeah, that's true.
Suffocated.
Perhaps.
That's true.
And they were spitting on the body as he was in the hospital bed.
I could probably see that.
Hey, Big Mike, I'm about to get up out of here, man. Much respect, y'all. I'm listening. I'm on the road here.
Before you go, I gotta have you see something. Hold
all
on.
All right.
Hey, this is for the immigrants that like to talk about black on black crime, and you want to come over here and point your finger at us. Look at this.
Ali, guys! Abdullahi! Guys!
Ɗaya daga cikin wanda jirgi ya haɗari da mu, wanda jirgin nan na gwamnatin tarayya na Najeriya, kuma a matsayin gwamnati ita ke da haƙƙin ta karɓo mu, amma ta gaza karɓo mu. Muna kira da wanda 'yan uwanmu suka yi niyyar su karɓo mu, amma gwamnatin Najeriya saboda rashin kula ta hana 'yan uwanmu su karɓo mu. A dalilin haka muke kira ga manya-manyan ƙasashen duniya irin su Ingila, su Amerika.
Man, they whipping them niggas' ass.
I mean, it's a bunch of monkeys hitting monkeys. I mean, you know, and they come over here with this shit. So, I mean,
but I'll say this. This is reason why I don't want to have another black on black crime discussion with any one of you motherfuckers ever again.
What's it called again now?
Because you will be quick to say, you will be quick to sit up and talk to me about Chicago. Well, what about Chicago, nigga? What about this and that, nigga? What about this and that? As if you're talking to somebody who's actually out here committing crimes and committing black on black crimes. But then when we bring up stuff like this, y'all want to say, oh, it's different side, it's the north, where it's a lot of Muslims and this and that. Oh, it ain't you, right, motherfucker? I don't want to have this discussion with you anymore about black on black crime, because you'll never see anything that deplorable coming out of the United States of America. Black people here in this country.
And what I got to say is no monkeys allowed in this country. No monkeys allowed. I'm going to say this real quick and I'm going to get out of here.
Right.
These Africans are actually not real people. They are clones. These pale-faced people cloned them and made them in laboratory. That's why they don't look real. Look at their eyes. That's why they're so greasy and they stink. They don't walk straight. They have that funny accent. They are clones made in the lab to serve the pale faces. Hey, Big Mike here.
Hey, man,
your hands.
Man, what's up, Kulik in the building? Hey,
Mike.
Man. Yo, man, we got
Mike.
my mom-in-law in the building,
Do
man.
you know what?
Go ahead.
Hey, Mike, do you know why it's easy for immigrants to talk all kind of shit like that, man?
Because we let them.
It's easy for them to talk is that, but they get opportunities like that because the government feels like they have to take care of them. So when they get this money, these grants, these opportunities to have businesses and all this other shit, and they act up, guess what the government do?
Right.
They deport their ass. They send their ass right back to the country that they was running from.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, the indigenous people that are here, we don't get the same opportunities. That's why we have something to say about it.
Right.
But they can't say shit. They can't say nothing. Just like old boy, he was talking all that, whatever he was talking. Dude, those opportunities was given to you, dog.
Right.
But we always got to get everything up out the mud. We got to get everything out the mud.
Barefooted.
But y'all are granted these opportunities. But when you act up, You don't get a pop on your ass and put your ass right back on that plane and send you right back to the country you was oppressed in, you was poor in, you was drinking dirty water in, and all that shit.
That's why. That's worse than any prison they can put you in over here. I got a shout out to my mom-in-law, man. Shout out to you, Mom. Love you. I have my mom and my mom-in-law in here tonight, man. Love it. Love it. Yeah, but
well, I call in, man, because we be talking at the real.
Oh yeah.
What? I ain't gonna cuss because your mom's and everybody.
Oh man, come on, man, come on, bro.
Sometimes it hits. Sometimes it hits you.
Nah, we
talking. Sometimes the passion hits you, man.
Hey man,
look, from the South.
You ain't gonna catch no judgment from either of my mothers, man. We get it in. Hey, we talk that shit.
You know how them Bama boys talk.
Exactly.
We naturally resist, especially for Mobile. Hey, at the end of the day, we didn't lose our fight against the white folks. We were whooping their ass. So, and if you want to go back and fight, here's the people behind that too. Because they didn't give out the real specifics of those race riots that happened down here.
Hey,
we was winning.
Hey, mama said they're confused. Love you, son. Say what you want. Shout out to you. Love you too. Hey man,
I got him.
Oh yeah. Hey man, look, dude, man, we got some more stuff to chop up, man. We got some more stuff to talk about. I'm gonna end the show off on a lighter note. Like I said, I just feel like Dr. King is somebody we probably need to look into a little bit deeper, man. There's so much information available on his life that's from his own words. You know what I mean? And it's so many writings, like they said, what did Libby say? It's about to be 12 to 14 volumes of just the papers.
Yeah, and I appreciate her spitting that out there because there's a lot of info, man, that we don't know, man. They just giving us what they want us to know.
And my buddy knows Bernice King. I'm gonna try to contact her. I want Bernice King to come on the show. Because like I said, I've been guilty of it. I've never disrespected Dr. King. Don't get me wrong. But I've been guilty of being like, why did he do that? Why didn't he do this? Why didn't he do that? And I realized, man, the other day, man, I saw a picture of Dr. King, man, and it literally brought tears to my eyes, man. Like these dudes, these little weak white dudes, you know, beating him upside the head, man. There's like a bunch of them on him. And, you know, he was out there. I don't know, man. I just saw his socks. I saw his shoes. Saw his ankle. It looked like my granddaddy. It reminded me like my granddaddy, you know. And it brought tears to my eyes, man. It's almost making me cry thinking about it now. But
yeah, man. I don't like looking at that because.
But this is
some jaws should have got broke.
I'm sure some did.
Jaws should have got broke.
I'm sure some did. And I'm quite sure
should have got smashed in. Some of them sugar shakers should have got jabbed in somebody's throat up in them damn restaurants, man. I don't like to see us take no beatings like that, man. And every time it's a Black History Month, they remind us, hey, we kicked y'all ass for a long time. We gonna let y'all know that y'all still defeated in our eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
well, we're only gonna be defeated if we don't finish what he started. And I think it's important we learn what he started. And we need to learn what his end goal was. And that's what we need to be striving towards. And I don't think we're gonna be able to twerk our way there.
That, you know what, man? Twerking to me. You know what twerking is now? To me, that's the brand new buck dance.
Absolutely.
Twerking is buck dancing to me now. Every time I see some twerking, I think of buck dancing. I think of what's the dude's name? Mantan. What's the name? What's the dude? The Stephen Fetchit. I think of the folks dancing in blackface when I see women, dudes, or whoever just out there just twerking.
Right.
That's the new buck dance to me. So y'all can buck dance y'all way to wherever y'all want to buck dance to. You know what I'm saying? But that's not That's not African culture. I mean, not African culture. It's not black culture, man.
Not in this country, no.
You know what I'm saying? All that is just showing that you all that is showing more that you brainwashed.
Hey, Dallas D said twerking needs to be
I think of
introduced to
twerking, I
council
think of
culture.
book then.
She said twerking needs to be
Say what?
introduced. Dallas D says twerking needs to be introduced to the council culture. The bad part about it is the people that's twerking are the council culture. That's the thing. That's the bad part about it. They the twerkers and the council culture are the same culprits. So, you know, we got big
way of
issues.
communication. That's their sign language.
We got big issues. Rondo Smallfoot said, I heard that we were fucking people up off camera. And I heard that shit too. I heard that a lot of that getting beat up shit was just for cameras. But when it was when the cameras was off,
talk to some of these OGs down here in Mobile, man.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. So
talk to some of these OGs down here in Mobile, man.
Yeah, it wasn't all
Just
sweet,
like
man. And they don't like to tell you about your shooters.
My ex, I'm about to say that, then I'm gonna get off. My ex's father told me back then that the city of Pritchard, you know, they had the neighborhoods in Pritchard used to have rifle clubs because they said the Klan used to try to ride through there in their trucks and they'll be busting at them from their house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? They're, like you said, fire history because they don't talk about that.
They don't talk about the shooters, man. But believe your folks. Believe your folks when your grandfolks, great-grandfolks, if you're lucky to still have them, believe what they tell you. Dirty folks said you need male felons to start twerking first. Black women hate to see men enjoying themselves. Facts.
What did you say? What did you say?
He said you need male felons to start twerking first. Black women hate to see men enjoying themselves.
Man,
that's dirty folks, man.
I don't even want to see that.
Man, I had a good conversation. Me and Dirty chopped it up crazy the other day, man. I got something I want to show you too, man. Like I say, bro, like, look, I'm not a Bible thumper or whatnot, but I'm telling you, this monkeypox shit is the new leprosy, bro. It's the new leprosy. And I got a monkeypox update.
I believe it too.
We got monkeypox in the A, so I'm gonna put that up where it originated from. We're gonna talk about this real quick before we get up out of here. Excuse me. So it says
what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you go on and do that.
All right,
so
brother.
I can look at what you're talking about.
All right, brother. Hey, man, appreciate you, man.
Hey, no problem, man.
Yeah, man.
I holler at you.
All right, man. We got the minister ass whipping Trail Hands boxing team in the building. Shout out to you, fam. Yeah, man. Hey, look, man. We solid over here. I promise you. We real solid over here, fam. Let's take a look. Got a second win, man. I tell you, thank God for second wins, right? But check this out. The World Health Organization declares rapidly spreading monkeypox outbreak is a global health emergency. And they've also made it and classified it finally as a STD. They finally done that. Ronnie sent me something today, man. Ronnie sent me something today where they got a book for children. Let me show y'all this, man. And like I said, we about to get up out of here, man. But I got to show y'all this. So give me one. Bear with me for one moment. I ain't gonna show y'all what your boy had on his show the other day. We on Lock Nation, boy. I got my eyes on you over there, boy. Got my eyes on you, boy. I got some weirdo shit going on over there, son. Yeah, got some weird shit going on over there, man. It's like the pervert playoffs over there. Y'all like to talk them talking points about Victim Olympics, but y'all looking like the pervert playoffs, boy. Get the Pornhub off your phone, boy, before you go live, boy. Get off your phone, boy. For real. Make sure you're not watching Pornhub stroking it before you come on live. That's all I'm going to say. We got the receipts, fam. Don't make me. Don't make me. But I got to show you what Ronnie sent me earlier today, man. And then, like I said, we're gonna get up out of here with this last little video. So Ronnie sent me this. This is a new children's book that's coming out. Let's see. We got somebody on the line here. I think this may be Mr. Dirty, folks. 773. This is a Chicago number. Chicago in the building.
Shut up, bro. You know it's dirty folks, man. You know I have to call the support.
Man, what's up with you, man? How you doing?
Man, the caller right before this said something, man, that inspired me. Plus, I'm about to go get drunk with my friends and do hood rat stuff. So I'm on the move. But check this out, bro. When he said that, man, we were winning the fight. Here's the thing. He's right. My grandfather just passed, 96 years old, just passed this year. And all he kept saying was, a very, very small part of the black community wanted civil rights, just like very small supported Black Lives Matter, right? They just allowed us, the squeaky wheels. My grandfather was like, yo, everybody was busting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what? He said, so we went from being shooters that avenge our brother's death to writing on crayons and marching for 96 blocks.
Right.
He said, man, it's pussy. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Granddad.
Right. Facts. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, if people would read, man, Rosa Parks in her autobiography talked about her uncles and daddy and, you know, granddaddy, people like that, say that they were, you know, the women would be serving coffee and they would have so many guns on the table. They didn't even have any room to put coffee cups on the table for the men, like, you know, her uncles and, you know, daddy and people like that. So, you know,
when people talk about Black Wall Street, no, not to cut you off, but when people talk about Black Wall Street, they skip the part that them black dudes was gunning them fucking white boys up so hard they had to send the Air Force.
They had to call the National Guard in. Yeah, because they were getting their ass whooped the first day. So yeah. So they don't talk about that.
Hoes, man.
What y'all getting into tonight, man?
Man, you know what? We just old men now. We embracing it. So, you know, we play golf on PlayStation, just old man stuff. Talk about the stuff we did when we was younger. I don't tell them what I'm doing now. Here's the thing, bro. Everything ain't for everybody. And once I learned that, I found the right body.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we're in a situation right now, like I listen to you guys, and I like you guys. And I think you guys on the right path. Like, I'm past that. I'm already into corporatocracy. I'm trying to get y'all there, but y'all still want to be black. But
we getting there.
The corporatocracy is simply this. America is a corporation based on the 13th Amendment. Everything that they do to us is based on the 13th and 14th Amendment. The LGBT rights, abortion, all the goofy shit, feminists and all of them do. It's based on the backs of black men, right?
Right.
So based on the 13th and 14th Amendment. So if you go back to the 13th and 14th Amendment, everything that you need is right there. Everybody's trying to go with the new normal. I'm still at the old natural. Niggas is having gender wars. Men lost the gender war in 2008. We in Reconstruction. But niggas ain't ready to reconstruct. They just figured out the girls beat them. Now they trying to beat a girl, which you can do. But the time and energy it takes for that, by then trying to own America. Like right now, it's a time for Reconstruction.
The juice ain't worth the squeeze on trying to beat girls.
Huh?
The juice on like trying to beat girls, the juice ain't worth the squeeze, like they say. You know, it just ain't worth it's very little payout. A big undertaking for very little payout. Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is girls are so important to the scheme of life because girls sleep with the winners. So they fighting the wrong war. Instead of fighting a gender war, they should be fighting an economic, social, political, some type of war instead of a gender war. But they can't now because they wanted to be black. So they gave all their power to black women, and girls are dumb. So they're just out here just being lesbians and fucking up cities and locking up niggas and fucking up communities with no guidance because you're supposed to be able to control your girl, which you couldn't because you were empowering your girl.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Facts.
So they've already lost that. They've already lost that because you can only correct somebody if you can reprimand them. And there's no reprimand for a toddler. You got to do reconstruction so you can reprimand your toddler like with any child. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to tell them not to touch the stove. It's another thing to be able to spank their hand. If you can't spank their hand, they're going to touch the stove.
Right.
Get burnt and then blame you.
Right.
So they already fighting the wrong fight. They fighting the wrong fight. So the y'all guys, because here's the thing. The thing about the civil rights movement is in the name. because it didn't start off as civil rights. It started off as double V, which was a man shit.
Right.
Then it became civil rights because white women wanted them to treat them civilly. And civil rights is nothing but feminism with a black face. They just wanted men to treat them civilly. I don't want to be treated civilly. Disrespect me.
Right.
We ain't got to be civil. We ain't got to be cordial.
Right.
That's not the mission I'm on. You know what I'm saying? And integration, yeah, whatever. What we're under is a corporatocracy, bro. That's how they're gonna bring slavery back. But they're gonna rebrand it. It's gonna be rebranded as essential workers or some shit.
As a job. Hey.
Yeah, essential workers. They already got the girls. The girls are already slaves. They call it Section 8.
Yeah.
They breeders. You just got to get guys in line.
Yep. Facts.
So this time they're gonna do it to everybody though. The white trash, everybody. It's not gonna be by color. So, you know, all the black girls like, white people do it too, because they don't do shit. They just want you to be down. But niggas fighting the wrong fight, bro. Y'all need to get in this corporatocracy fight, bro. That's the battle. The battle is that's Patreon. But the battle is corporatocracy, bro. That's where we at. Tribalism is corporatocracy in America. Because you can do whatever you want in America as long as you pay wrong with his wrongs.
As long as you're LLC.
Niggas want to be revolutionary. Yeah, as long as you don't alienate them. As long as you pay them, baby.
Yeah.
As long as you be like, they be like, look, you be like, I got some money. They be like, give me your money.
If you incorporated,
I could sell. Yeah. I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead, shoot your shot.
No, I was just saying if you incorporated, you're gonna be in there.
You went there. Yeah. America is. You know what's so funny? This is what I find funny about colors. Because colors are bipolar, like the mamas that raised them, right?
Yeah.
So this is what's funny about colors. Colors see the game and then pick the victim role. Like, how do you see it and then pick the victim? Example: America being a corporatocracy, the common sense man way to say, yo, let's incorporate in such a way that works for us. But what colors do is say, oh man, they stole our social security number. We strong men, the corporation of America, and we all indentured stock options. Well, motherfucker, sell your stock. Like,
sell the stock.
The cowardice. That's what gets me. It's the cowardice.
Is it cowardice dirty, or is it lack of business acumen?
That's culture. Lack of business acumen is culture because we don't lack business acumen. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of great businessmen. Culturally, colors hate they brightest people. Call them nerds, call them coons, say they talking white, beat them up.
Those are facts.
Colors hate their best and brightest. But they have bright people. Everybody else follow their best and brightest. Colors like they bombs. Everybody else promote their best and brightest. It's only a handful of white people that really got bread. They have power positions, but it's not that many Donald Trumps.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's way more trailer park people than it is rich people. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But they promote their best people. Niggas promote the most just dumb shit. Killers, hookers. Like, it's what they self-promote. They want to be the second worst of anything.
I mean, let's just keep it even a book.
Tell a person that wants to.
Let's keep it a book. It is not even destructive on those extremes all the time. A lot of time it's just a stupid, jovial frat boy that gets elevated in the black community as well.
The menstrual class get elevated.
It's a stupid meathead jock, you know, that gets elevated too. So it's not always just the bad extremes either. It be those little supposedly harmless.
The success stories be the minstrels. Think about it like this. The success stories be the minstrels. All right, see it like this. If I say landscaping and roof repair, what ethnic group would you think I was talking about?
Mexican.
Okay. If I say liquor stores and gas stations, what ethnic group would you think I was talking about?
Arab.
All right. So if I say drug dealer and basketball player, what ethnic group do you think I'm talking about?
Black people in this country. Colors.
All right, cool. So you can call them black people, but the whole thing, I call them colors because they all love colors. Black and brown coalition, every fucking African and Jamaican, they black too because they skin. We ain't got the same culture. But anyway, so you in a situation, these niggas always driving together. This nigga Chevy is off the chain though, but he need to get that shit insulated. Anyway, so when you look at it, you're known by what you are proud of. That's how pride works, right?
Right.
So if you're proud to be the minstrel class and the criminal class, even though white boys sell way more dope than black boys.
Facts.
But if you're proud to be branded as the criminal class and the minstrel class, you'll see a 12-year-old boy with a jump shot and you'll protect him by any means. You won't let him join a gang. You know what I'm saying? Y'all will protect him. Y'all will give him free lunch. LeBron James, mama ain't shit. White people cuff him. You know what I'm saying? Let him live with them so he can go to school. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you see a 12-year-old boy who made a new app or some new filter system to clean salt water and make it drinkable, you don't cuff them. You don't protect him by any means. You wait till the Jews take him and like, oh, my 12-year-old is going to MIT. Why didn't you keep everybody about to steal his patents? His patents about to be owned by Procter & Gamble. They're going to get rich as shit. And you just happy because your son got a new photo with some Jewish boys.
Right.
Like, the shit that niggas are proud of is the problem. It's not that they don't have business-minded people. It's that they don't like business-minded people. They say you're mean. They say, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Because you can't speak your truth.
I'm with you.
They like, I got my truth. No, bitch, this is the company handbook.
It's like I got friends that are business people, right? And I'll tell this story. This ain't no offense to my friend, but, you know, he'll finally get a chance to hear it if he's listening. Well, my buddy owns a business, right? It's a print business. So a couple of times I've asked him, you know, hey, man, I need this done. First time he was, you know, right on time with it. You know, it wasn't no issue. But a lot of times, you know, the second time he kind of did the work to somebody else. And I found out that really he was discounting the product for me. Right?
Right.
But the second time the work didn't turn out right. In which time I paid, but I haven't been back to him for any more print work. Don't discount the price for me. Nigga, do business. If you charging $150, don't charge me $125. I think that's where we get into this rut at, is we feel like if we're not losing money, we're not helping somebody else out. And then you turn around and you give me discounted rate service.
And
that's the problem.
Right. Now,
I will pay for top line service on something. I like your work. I will pay you top dollar to make sure that it's delivered, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's my dad. My dad will ask me to do plumbing work for him because I'm his son, but will pay a cracker $500 to do the same work and get it wrong, which is why I got to come and fix it for free.
Right.
It's the value that you put on your people.
Right.
Right. And I don't mind doing it because it's my dad, but I mind doing it because he's dumb. But
you should have gave me the
but anyway,
you should have gave me $450. I would have got you straight.
Man, you could have gave me half price because you're my dad, gave you the pop discount.
Right.
But instead, you want me to fix somebody else's mistake, and that is the black community. Can you fix somebody else's mistake? I don't fuck with you to the point that I won't even let you cut my grass. I think Mexican, so your boys can't even cut my grass. But if you cutting your grass because you cut my grass for free. And so it's not necessarily a lack of business acumen. It's a lack of giving a fuck about heterosexual black men. Because they don't do that shit to women. They make sure the girls eat. Right now, bro, we do these shows on YouTube and whatever the case may be. Motherfuckers could cash app you some bread, but you ain't going to get the cash apps of Jessica X or a Crimson Cole to get. Because they be like, oh, we got to look out for the women. They steady empowering these goofy bitches when they should keep them broke so she'll follow instructions. But they empower everybody else. Oh, white people have a reputation of doing great things. White people do horrible business, bro. No worse than black people.
Yeah, they not.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's. I mean, look, when you're in a capitalist country, I don't think nobody knows how to do it any lower down than them and us. If that makes sense, we do it very similar.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They do the same goddamn work. As a matter of fact, when they come through and they have a crew, most of their crew is black. So you paying for the brand of what you perceive as quality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's the logo test. It's you give me the same pair of shoes and put 3 different logos on it, and I'll tell you if it's worth it, whether it's a Jordan, a Payless, or a K-Swiss. But it's the same shoe. Ain't nothing changed with the logo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's not that people don't do bad business. It's that they don't practice corporatocracy. The problem is they do. The problem is they do what's the word I'm looking for? Independent contractor business. Right. So I'm shopping with Mike instead of shopping with Mike's logo, whatever Mike's logo is. Right. Because people have trust for the logo. People don't have trust for the person. So when I tell people, man, like, I don't know if XL Pro still in here, but XL Pro will tell you, man, how much I say, man, protect the logo. You know what I'm saying? When black men decide they want to have a logo independent of everybody else, they'll be all right. Same way Black Lives Matter was a logo and everybody followed it. They ain't know nothing about the organization. They knew the logo.
It was a brand. Yeah.
When black men decide to brand themselves as something other than black, they'll be all right. That's all the Jews did. The Jews wasn't but trailer park white people. That was like, I don't want to fuck with these stupid ass trailer park people. We're going to start our own little clique and call it a religion. That's all it was. They ain't American Jews, they ain't intrinsically no different ethnic group. You can't tell them apart. They just didn't want to be part of that shit. I'm trying to teach girls corporatocracy and do the same thing the Jews did. They don't call us Jews, but the same thing the $5 Indians did. We don't have to be part of this stupid shit, bro. Arguing with Jamaicans who made rap music and all type of shit because they think they can take it over just because they black and niggas don't protect their brand.
Hey, Dallas D got a comment. Dallas D right here on time with you. She said the black community doesn't value owning their name, image, and likeness. And that's a fact. That's a fact.
They don't.
You know, you got black men that are confused out here. These niggas out here watching P Valley. And I like to shout out to my partners that have decided finally at the last 25 gay scenes that they don't want to watch it no more. I'm glad y'all finally made the decision. Better late than never. But it's just another thing that I don't. It's not necessarily that I have a problem watching that type of stuff. I have a problem watching men that look like me doing that type of stuff because they like to portray us like that. I know society is attacking us right now. And I'm gonna put this up real quick. I'm about to get up off of here, Dirty.
You know, the P Valley thing. You know what? I always want to go to a P Valley watch party. I don't watch the show. I've never seen it, but I just think they do lesbian stuff when they have a watch party. So I want to go with a bunch of black girls and watch P Valley with them, so I can be there when a freaky deaky happens.
Yeah, it's probably
all these girls are cuckolds. You know what's weird about girls in general, but black girls don't admit it. But girls in general, all they really want to do is watch you have sex with other people. So that's why they watch P Valley. For women, it's not because it's a gay show. It's because they just like watching men penetrate other people. It could be a girl, it could be a dog. They don't care. They just like to see men penetrate other things.
And that's
weird.
And that's another level. And that's another level of depravity that we can't even get into. You know what I mean? But hey, man, I appreciate you for tapping in, man. I'm about to show this last little thing and jump off of here, man. I appreciate you for tapping in with me.
Right,
I enjoyed the conversation the other day too, man. I had a good time with you on there, so I appreciate you.
Oh man, it was love, man. We're gonna have to chop it up, man. You got my number, dog. We're gonna have to chop it up off.
Yeah, we're gonna chop it up on
channel.
we're gonna chop it up on the back channel, man. Hey man, I appreciate you, Dirty.
Man, no doubt, bro.
Salute, man. We got dirty folks in the building, man. Brother building a solid following. Get over there, man. Subscribe to him, man. Also go subscribe to my man Bernard S. Facts and the Uncomfortable Truth. Brother gamed up, plenty of knowledge. Old school knowledge. I ain't gonna lie. Just, you know, it's refreshing. Also, don't forget to go over to my man, the World Class. He over there handing these suckers. They got damn intestines on the platter when they think they got the guts to run up in the room. You're getting it handed back to you on the platter. I appreciate that, brother. Also, XL Pro flooring services, XL Pro services and flooring. If you have any carpet flooring work that needs to be done, shout out to my man XL Pro, man. I put it in I'm putting his link right here at the bottom. XL Pro services and flooring. www.excelproservices.com today. Tell him Big Mike sent you. Tell him Big Mike sent you. It's a personal homeboy of mine. So tell him I sent you, and he gonna get straightened out, man. He ain't give you no damn discounts either. We just had a discussion about business acumen. Pay full price. Pay full price. Man, Dallas D, man, I appreciate you for joining. And you know, y'all make the show, man. Y'all make the show. But before I go, I wanted to show y'all this because you know, these are gonna be, and shout out to Ronnie for sending me this. But these are gonna be things that your kids are gonna be faced with, man, especially those of us with little kids that are just learning to read and whatnot. But this is a new book by ML Webb called The Gay BCs. The Gay BCs. And you see, you got your little kids on there with little dogs and stuff like that. This is aimed and geared towards children. But let's just look at a couple of letters in there. B. B is for bi. You can shout it out loud. I like more than one gender, and that makes me proud. So they're already teaching gender to kids who can't even read. Kids are learning alphabets, and they're already trying to teach gender and sexuality and all of that to them. And that's what that weirdo up in Rhode Island, Tiara Mack, that's what she's into. She's about pleasure-based sex education for young kids. So these people you better watch, man. Don't think you can keep voting Democrat because it makes you comfortable. These folks are trying to destroy our society. They're trying to destroy our children. They're coming at your kids. They won't even tell the kids that monkeypox is an STD because they want to promote the lifestyle so heavy. L, you got two little girls, little boyish looking girl, tomboy, and another girl in a dress pillow fighting. L is for lesbian. It's love and affection between two special girls who share a connection. Why couldn't L just be love? And you let people decide on who they love. You see what I'm saying, man? This is sick. This is depraved. Yeah, you need to pimp slap that nigga with the book, man. And I'm sure it was probably some ignorant ass little dude or whatnot that did it. But you know, this is the type of stuff that's being geared at our children, man, being aimed towards our children. And you know what's happening. You know what's happening. Like I say, you act like you don't know. Act like you don't know. Monkeypox is real, fam. Monkeypox is real. And you can ask this little guy right here, man. He's on I almost felt a little bad for the motherfucker, man, a little bit, man. But yo, check this out, man. So this cat just said that he was out, he wasn't even doing anything. He was just making out with a guy at a bar at a party. And you know, we were just having fun. You know, I was just getting my little rocks off, getting my little shit off. Let's show you. Wound up catching that thing. Now he looked like a pepperoni pizza with the cheese burn on it. But let's take a look. Let's go.
If you hear of a friend or a loved one that has this, message them, support them, ask them if they need anything. Just let them know that they're not some kind of pariah, that they're not dirty.
Like, don't fucking touch me. What you mean? You're not dirty. You definitely don't look clean, my G. Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Do not touch me. Dallas D said, well, I was trying to leave, but the topic got good. You know, I discussed that crazy ass Mac broad over her depraved agenda. Oh, she's horrible, man. But I'm telling you, God got something for him, man, with these monkeypox. We got a call on the line, and this is a block call. What you want?
No, I'm just listening. I saw the title of the MLK thing. That's why I called in.
Okay. What's up, man? I seen it was a 1111111 number. So I'm like, this is a block call. What's good with you, fam?
There ain't nothing on that Skype. You know how it be, man.
Yeah,
but no,
man.
what was y'all getting into with the MLK assassination?
Nah, man, I called this show the second assassination of MLK, man. I think MLK's image has been tarnished through a lot of bad teachings. and things like that about his message. I think Dr. King has been stuck in a state of homeostasis since 1963 with the I Have a Dream speech. That's the King that they want you to know. But we did an interview at the beginning, catch the replay, because it was an interview that he did with Mike Wallace about 11 months before he was assassinated. And I think you will get a different insight to Dr. King.
Oh, hey, let me add something for the fam out there then, man. So basically white America, the same way they did Mandela, they tried to basically teddy bear up the image of MLK, turn him into a non-radical, always about nonviolence, and not an actual revolutionary, which is what he was, one of the great revolutionaries. Matter of fact, there's an interview from Gil Noble, shout out to that brother, rest in peace, from the 90s, where Kwame Ture is on there breaking down how MLK actually stepping out first gave other people the courage to step out. And that's, talking about his old nonviolent stance. And he gets into, look, man, that dude had guns all over his house because he was ready for those people when they wanted to assassinate him.
Right.
And for those people who think he was some kind of integrationist and a sellout, go look up the Black Power Defined. It's an essay from MLK about Black Power. He was not only talking about reparations, he was talking about owning the means of production. And this dude, like, people don't understand how radical King was. And that's actually what got him killed. The fact that he wouldn't be bought off, the fact that he wouldn't take the money that they were offering. And that's why they had to try to smear him. And then after he dies, we get, like you said, they come back, rebrand the image, present him as just nonviolence, crush his whole writing career and many speeches, because I Have a Dream ain't the only speech. Go look up Drum Major Instinct. Go look up all of these different works of King, and don't be relegated to white folks telling you that the only thing King said was content of character. That's their favorite thing. But they don't want to talk about that mountaintop speech. What they don't want to talk about is that Black Power defining who he actually was, a real revolutionary and a radical. Shout out to the great Martin Luther King.
Absolutely. One of the greatest human beings to ever live in history, I might add.
Facts.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you for tapping in with us on that. I definitely appreciate that.
Good show, man. Be easy, bro. I'll catch you next show then.
Hey, man, you too, man. And catch us on the replay, man. We got some good info in there, brother.
All
right. Peace out to you. Oh, man, great caller. Hey, yeah, man. So, yeah, absolutely, man. That brother got some good stuff, and I hope y'all took notes. The Black Power dynamic defined. So, go check that out, man, on Dr. Martin Luther King's writing. I haven't read that one, so I'm gonna have to read that one. Let's finish up with this guy.
And that it's going to be okay. It's not lethal. It's just very temporary, and it's scary for the moment.
Wallace says it took a few days for his doctor to confirm it was monkeypox, but once that happened, the people he had been in contact with were able to get the vaccine outside that. However, he says access to the vaccine has been so scarce, his friends are actually leaving Texas to get it in other states. Now, Wallace thinks he's got another week or so in quarantine, making his entire infection and recovery about a month. If you would like more information on monkeypox and the efforts happening in our community, visit our website, khou.com.
If you hear of a friend or a loved one that has this.
All right, man, I can't continue to look at this. I actually have some pizza in there, and that looked like the burnt cheese. So, and Rondo Smallfoot said temporarily non-lethal. That's a fact. Look, man, I know that people like to think that there are no repercussions, there are no consequences for your actions or anything we do out here. Everybody wants to teach you that it's just a free-for-all, right? And that you're supposed to pay nothing, no accountability. I hope y'all are reading the writing on the wall right now. That's all I say on that. I hope y'all are reading the writing on the wall right now. It doesn't matter what you say. The truth doesn't care what you say. The truth doesn't require that you believe in it to still be the truth. So after all of this shit is said and done, After all of these people, all of these defilers, all of these violators, all of these, you know, pervs, all of these people are gone. The truth will remain. This your boy, Big Mike, man. I appreciate y'all for joining me tonight. I appreciate y'all for having the patience to listen to this. And really, man, start getting into your Dr. King, man. Start getting into your Dr. King. Start learning about the man so nobody could tell you about the man, right? Start learning about the man so nobody can tell you about the man what they want to tell you. And like I said, I'm gonna holler at my buddy, man, and see if we can't get his daughter, Bernice King, to come, just at least call into the show and just, you know, speak some words about her father as she knew him. I'm gonna be working on that. Until next week, I appreciate y'all. I love and I respect y'all, man. Don't ever forget that. Each and every one of y'all. This your boy, Big Mike, man. Holla at me. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. And let me get this damn weird-ass monkey off of my screen. And thank you all for joining the show tonight. I'm out.